and gentlemen, and welcome to the USF Softball Stadium and the 2018 American Athletic Conference Softball Championship. Today's second semifinal game features the number 5 seeded Memphis Tigers against the number 1 seeded USF Bulls. We would like to remind all fans of the American Athletic Conference and University of South Florida encourage and promote good sportsmanship by student athletes, coaches, and spectators. We request your cooperation by supporting the participants and officials in a positive manner. Profanity, racial, or ethnic comments or other intimidating actions directed at officials, student athletes, coaches, or team representatives will not be tolerated and are grounds for removal from the site of the competition. Thank you. And now, ladies and gentlemen, let's meet the participants for today's second semifinal matchup. For the visiting team, the Memphis Tigers, the head coach in her 7th season, Natalie Poole. Associate head coach, Andy Lott. Assistant coach, Helen Pena. And now the Memphis Tigers starting lineup. Leading off, a senior shortstop from Houma, Louisiana. Number 1, Kyler Trosclair. Batting second, a freshman center fielder from Dayton, Tennessee. Number 5, Delaney Smith. Batting third, a freshman left fielder from Henderson, Tennessee. Number 7, Bailey Smith. Batting fourth, a junior first baseman from Big Rock, Tennessee. Number 25, Ashley Threet. Batting fifth, a senior second baseman from Moreau, Louisiana. Number 23, Brooke Lee. Batting sixth, a senior right fielder from Collierville, Tennessee. Number 6, Addison Maxwell. Batting seventh, a junior catcher from Georgetown, Indiana. Number 11, Reagan Hadley. Batting eighth, freshman designated player from Lakeland, Tennessee. Number 10, Kendall Lee. Batting ninth, a sophomore third baseman from Louisville, Kentucky. Number 12, Aaron Parker. On the mound for the Memphis Tigers with a record of 25-9, a senior from Ram Hill, Oregon. Number 9, Molly Smith. And now for the introductions of the home team, the USF Bulls. Head coach in his 22nd season, Ken Erickson. Assistant coach, Jessica Moore. Assistant coach, Laura Ricciardoni. And Director of Tournaments and Operations, Valerie Ariato. And now the Bulls starting lineup. Leading off, a senior first baseman from Land O'Lakes, Florida. Number 10, Lauren Evans. Batting second, a senior center fielder.
From Tampa, Florida, it's the American Softball Championships. It's the semifinals, the number 1 seed and regular season champion USF Bulls taking on the number 5 seed Memphis Tigers. And hello, everyone. I'm Eric Lopez alongside Sydney Gerbach. And Sydney, people still buzzing about last night's game for the Bulls. They took on the Yukon Huskies, a 12-inning game, the longest game in the American Softball Championships, an exciting finish, and the champs found a way, survived, and advanced to play today.
They did, and a big highlight there to Lauren Evans. She was the one able to put the ball in play, have that timely hit, and she's been that career utility player for USF for the past 4 years, so it doesn't surprise me that she was the one to get the job done.
Evans is the senior. She really kind of jumpstarts this offense, doesn't she?
She absolutely does. As a leadoff, she's not traditional, but she does set the table in a myriad of ways for this USF squad.
They'll take on the Memphis Tigers team that beat UCF, and Molly Smith, the senior pitcher with her 12th shutout of the year, she's the big part of this Tiger success.
And one of the things I love about Molly Smith is the first thing she'll say is, hey, every team is a team victory. Every win is a team victory, rather. She's going to rely on her curveball in any given count, any situation. And so as long as she's trusting her team in the circle today to play behind her, she is going to find success.
It's the Tigers and the Bulls. It should be a good one. A trip to the American Softball Championship game is on the line, and we'll have it for you next here on ADN.
welcome into the ADN studio. Hope your week is off to a great start. Thanks for tuning in to an all-new episode of The Rise.
And Mike Hughes, the kicker to beat. Do you believe it?
Kareem Bruton Jr. for the win. Yes!
The American Conference Championship. Bernie scores.
The next biggest game is our biggest game, and we've been doing that all year.
A game like this, you got to want to win the game. We get to the point to where, okay, we're all scratching the itch, waiting for college football to start.
How impressive is it that both of these programs have been here the last 4 years?
This ball is launched out and beyond left field. Bohm gets around on this one, up the line, that's fair.
I couldn't be prouder. I mean, this conference has just performed beyond anyone's expectations.
There are other people just like you, driven, determined, those who use passion to spark creation, others who are ready to unite and discover together. It all starts with you and continues with us, the University of South Florida.
Power comes in all forms. Power is a big tackle,
A big save.
a clutch hit.
And a game-winning shot.
Power is also standing up for what is right.
Power is respecting an opponent, officials,
Student athletes, coaches, and team representatives.
Power is not tolerating racial or ethnic comments,
profanities, or other improper actions
While at the game.
The American.
Power.
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 Power for life.
And we're set to go. Semifinal number 2, the Memphis Tigers and the USF Bulls. Winner advancing to the American Conference Championship game tomorrow at noon. Of course, you look at the action from this week in the tournament. Tulsa advanced earlier with a win over the Houston Cougars. They will await the winner of this game. Kyler Trosclair to lead it off for Memphis against Cheyenne Eggins, and we're underway. Cheyenne Eggins getting the start, the junior, with a 1.73 ERA, 8-3 on the season. And you see Trosclair, all-conference player, 398 average, really sets the tone for this Memphis offense.
She does, and she's in top 15 with her batting average so far in American Conference play, top 10 in hits. She's got 22 hits on the year, and we talked a little bit yesterday. She has been a 300-plus hitter all 4 seasons, so she is going to be that typical leadoff player for this Memphis squad, and she's going to need to set the table in order to create that offensive momentum.
There you see Cheyenne Eggins on the 1-1 pitch, and Trosclair hits a slow grounder. Tough play for Boyle at short. The throw to first is safe is the call, and Trosclair gets on to start this game for the Tigers.
Perfect example there of that, generating that offensive momentum. That call tends to go their way. This is a team. They consider themselves scrappy. It's wrapped up in their identity, and she just gets a good bounce off of that first bounce. Eggins not able to field her spot, and, tie goes to the runner in that case.
That'll bring up the freshman Delaney Smith. Left-handed hitter hitting .366 with a homer and 21 RBIs on the year. Tries to bunt, pops it up in the air, but it's out of the reach of the Bulls catcher Macy Cook, and, of course, Brooke Hartman at third base defensively for the Bulls. The rest of the infield for the Bulls, you got Cassidy Boyle at shortstop, Lindsey Devitt at second base, Lauren Evans at first base. There will be a lot of attention on that infield against this Tiger offense, as that's up high for a ball. 1-1 to count to Delaney Smith, who will be followed by Bailey Smith, no relation. And Ashley Threet will be the cleanup spot with Brooke Lee, the second baseman, to hit fifth.
And I think you've said it, Eric, what's so key about this Memphis team and what they can attribute to their success is the fact that they execute a short game, probably better than anyone in this conference. And they have great barrel control, really focus on where they place the ball. So, yes, USF is going to have to really dig in here in terms of their infield and how they play on the dirt.
The 1-2 pitch, and Smith gets a piece of it and fouls it off. These two teams played in Memphis on the weekend of March 29th. USF won the series 2 out of 3. Memphis had to come from behind to win the final game of that series at home. Very tight games. As the 1-2 is hit right back to Eggins. It's off of her, and that'll be now 2 on, no one out for Memphis. As Delaney Smith putting some pressure on Cheyenne Eggins and the Bulls defense.
Well, and that's what we've come to expect from Delaney Smith, right? So she is going to be one of those slappers along with Trosclair, and then Bailey Smith coming in behind her. Really good barrel control. Obviously, a little bit of scouting going on there. Eggins not going to be one of the pitchers that fields her spot as well as some of the other pitchers that we've seen thus far in the tournament. And so some very strategic barrel control here from the Tigers thus far.
Bailey Smith now, the right-handed hitter. She bunts right to Hartman at third. Hartman will have one play. We'll throw to first a little high, but Devitt was there covering to get the out. But Trosclair advances to third on the play, and Delaney Smith is now at second with 1 out in the inning. And Ashley Threet, the junior, will come to the plate. Of course, Cheyenne Eggins has had success against Memphis. Beat them earlier this year in Memphis. Threw a shutout against the Tigers on this stadium last year in a game that was televised on ADN. As Threet takes a strike, and the count is 0-1. Memphis did get to Cheyenne Eggins in last year's meeting in the quarterfinals of the American Softball Tournament held in Greenville. The 0-1. That's low, ball 1. 1-1 the count.
Now, Corrick and Eggins have shouldered the majority of the innings for the Bulls this year. And Eggins, even though we haven't seen her yet this tournament, she leads the American in the fewest walks per game. And she's still top 5 in the ERA. She comes in 1.8.
Pitch is fouled off the net down the left side, and the count is 1-2. So Ashley Threet, the junior, hitting .301 with 6 homers and 26 RBIs on the year. The Tigers, the number 5 seed, knocked off UCF yesterday, 3-0. Second consecutive year that the Tigers are in the semifinals. The 1-2. And Threet hits it in the hole. Boyle comes up with it, but will have no play as Trosclair will come in to score, and Memphis gets on the board right away and takes an early 1-0 lead.
And I love Memphis here digging into their identity as a program, right? Not relying on the long ball, but rather committing to the short game, playing really good softball. Strategically, with barrel control, getting those first 2 runners in scoring position, lay down a perfect sacrifice bunt to set up Ashley Threet. Doesn't have to do a whole lot, but puts it just far enough out of the reach of a very athletic Boyle in order to put 1 run across the board. So tip your hat to Memphis there for setting the momentum and setting the pace.
Runners at the corners, 1 out. Brooke Lee, the senior now, at the plate, with Delaney Smith at third and Ashley Threet at first. That's up and in, ball 1. 1-0 the count to Lee, hitting .289 on the year with a team leading 8 home runs and has 35 RBIs on the season, which is second on the team. The 1-0. And a swing and a miss by Brooke Lee. And the count is 1-1. Again, the winner of this game to play Tulsa in the championship game is Ken Erickson, the head coach of the Bulls in his 22nd season. We'll come to the circle here and have a moment. Let me ask you, Sydney. Memphis faced Aaliyah White yesterday, a big-time off-speed pitcher. They're facing Cheyenne Eggins today, an off-speed pitcher. Does that help Memphis in preparation? Not saying that they're the same exact pitcher, but similar repertoire in that they throw a lot of off-speed pitches and change.
Oh, that's true, and I think we've seen a lot of off-speed so far in this tournament, Eric, and I think that's been a definitive factor on what pitchers have been successful and which ones haven't. Now, Memphis also has had really good discipline on what off-speed pitches they're going to choose, if any, laying off of it when they need to, making sure that they are hard outs, right, so not succumbing to the strikeout. And that's going to be a major factor for them offensively. Eggins is used to having quite a few strikeouts, has a really good strikeout to walk ratio. So she ranks in the nation, 17th in the nation for that ratio. So you know that she's going to be relying on that a little bit.
Here's a grounder to second. Devitt will go to second for 1. That's all they'll get as Smith comes in to score. And Memphis extends the lead to 2-0 here in the first. And right away, they're putting pressure on the Bulls' defense.
Just a good choice there with 2 strikes on the board. It doesn't ends up being a fielder's choice, but it's enough to get that last 60 feet for Delaney Smith.
So a 2-0 lead for the Tigers here in the first. And the first pitch is a strike to Addison Maxwell, the senior, hitting .284 on the year. So a fast start for the Tigers here in the top of the first with a 2 spot against Cheyenne Eggins. Was an all-conference pitcher last year. As delivers the 0-1, and that's fouled off. With Brooke Lee at first base. And I only brought up that point because I know in talking to some of the Memphis people, look, I mean, let's be honest. I mean, when you're doing scouting, when you're preparing for these games, you're probably getting a lot of practice and throwing against changeups, right, and off-speed pitches.
Well, and with how many lefties you have in the lineup, it's going to be important for them to have the right timing. Usually a slapper is going to be looking for an outside pitch, right? It's the easiest for them to be able to control. And ideally, for a hitter that stands in, if you're on time for outside, you're going to be on time for changeup. Now,
the ball gets away from Cook, and that will allow Lee to advance to second on the play and into scoring position with a count of 2-2.
Well, and just some heads-up play there by Brooke Lee, finding a way to make that free pass work for her. But, I mean, it's going to be a little bit different with the slapper because you are already in movement. What is your timing most often is going to be for a pitch that's coming in a little bit harder. So that is going to be their biggest adjustment.
That ball's hit to left, and the catch is made by Haynes at left as Maxwell gave that one a ride. But the inning comes to an end. But the Tigers get on the board first. They score 2. The Bulls coming to the plate here on ADN.
Welcome into the ADN studio. Hope your week is off to a great start. Thanks for tuning in to an all-new episode of The Rise.
And Mike Hughes, the kicker to beat. Do you believe it?
Kareem Bruton Jr. for the win. Yes!
The American Conference Championship. Bernie scores.
The next biggest game is our biggest game, and we've been doing that all year.
A game like this, you got to want to win the game. We get to the point to where, okay, we're all scratching the itch, waiting for college football to start.
How impressive is it that both of these programs have been here the last 4 years?
This ball is launched out and beyond left field. Bohm gets around on this one, up the line, that's fair.
I couldn't be prouder. I mean, this conference has just performed beyond anyone's expectations.
Bottom of the first here in Tampa. Eric Lopez alongside Sydney Gerbach. And let's bring in our third member of our team, Haley Outen. Haley, how you doing?
I am doing well. Let's talk about this Memphis Tigers team. They had 2 ultimate goals heading into this season. One of those making it to the NCAA tournament and another picking up 40 wins this season. They're at a program record 37 right now, so something that is certainly still attainable. But something even bigger, they have a chance to punch their ticket to this championship game, a feat that Memphis has never accomplished in program history across any conference. They're looking for their first trip to the title game.
Thanks, Haley. And they'll be dependent on their senior, Molly Smith, who has had a school record 25 wins this season, among the nation's leaders with 12 shutouts. She picked up her 12th shutout yesterday against UCF. And her first pitch is low for a ball to Lauren Evans. Evans to lead it off here for the Bulls will be followed by Ashton Donovan and Lindsay Devitt here in the bottom of the first. You see Natalie Poole there, the head coach. Done a great job building this Tiger program. As the 1-0 is in there for a strike. And Haley mentioned the Tigers never been to American Conference Championship game. They've never been to a conference championship game, period. Last season when Memphis beat USF, it was the first time they even got to a semifinal game since 2010. The 1-1. And Evans takes upstairs. In 2010, Memphis beat Tulsa to get to a semifinal. That was in Conference USA. It was held in Houston. That was their last conference tournament win prior to last year. But this year they've built it with 2 consecutive years with at least a win in the tournament. 2-1 the count to Evans. He reaches for it and drops a base hit into right field. The ball is cut off. A nice job by Maxwell. But Evans gets the Bulls off to a good start with a single here in the bottom of the first.
And I like that superior effort there from Maxwell. Not very often you see a dive to keep a ball in front, but sometimes that's what it takes, keeping a what could have been a double or even a triple for the leggy Lauren Evans into a long single. Beautiful choice there by Lauren Evans, and we see why she is solidified in that leadoff role and why she was so integral in that win last night. Didn't quite look like that last night, but seeing her square the ball up here today.
Aston Donovan now, the senior, at the plate. Infield in for the Tigers. As Donovan shows butt, takes it a strike, and the count is 0-1. Donovan is right now currently just outside the top 10 in the history of USF softball for most hits in a career. She's got way over 200 in her career. She's had an incredible career here for the Bulls. As she squares and pulls the bat back, pops it up in the air in foul territory. Reagan Hadley gives it a look, and it's out of play. Hadley, the catcher for the Tigers, with Aaron Parker at third base, Tyler Trosclair at shortstop, Brooke Lee at second base, and Ashley Threet at first base. That's the infield defense for the Tigers. Count is 0-2. Smith delivers. It's up high for a ball, 1-2. The count, you see Lauren Evans there at first base, singled here in the bottom of the first. Bulls, of course, playing that marathon 12-inning game last night. That was the final game of the day. An early 3-hour game. The Bulls pulled it out 2-1. Donovan now at the plate. And the 1-2. Strike three looking as Donovan goes down on strikes. And the first strikeout for Molly Smith in the game.
Oh, we talked about it in the pregame. Molly Smith is going to be very comfortable going at any moment with her lateral pitches, and she's able to wield that screwball well and puts it right on the outside corner. Gets just enough tailing over the white. If you're
Lindsey Devitt will come to the plate, the junior. Swings the first pitch down the line. That's a fair ball. Down the line. It goes all the way to left field. The ball's rumbling. Erickson will hold Evans at third. It's a one-out double for Lindsey Devitt, and the Bulls threatening here in the bottom of the first.
Lindsey Devitt takes a good hard hack at an inside pitch and ropes that, keeps it just on the right side of the line. Excuse me, the left. The right side of the line there, over into left field and into the corner. Might have been a triple if there had been no one else on base, and I think a smart decision there to hold up Lauren Evans. Only one out here on the board with Brooke Hartman coming up. USF in with a great opportunity here to answer back the 2 runs that Memphis scored in the top of the first.
So Brooke Hartman hitting in the cleanup spot tonight, hitting .276, 10 homers to lead the team with 32 RBIs. First pitch, the right-handed hitting Hartman pops it up foul territory in first base. Ashley Threet lives it a look, but it's out of play. And the count is 0-1. Molly Smith, who came in 3 strikeouts short of 500 in her career coming into the game, has rewritten the record books in Tiger softball. Broken records of many other pitchers, including Ellen Roberts, who was one of the best, went on to play professionally in the NPF. The 0-1 is up high.
And what's great about Molly Smith is that she has absolutely had a slam bang senior campaign. She has almost doubled her strikeout count this season alone compared to the strikeouts that she had coming into her senior season.
The 1-1. Hit up the middle. That will be through for a hit. Evans will score. Devitt will stay at third. It's an RBI single for Brooke Hartman, and it's a 2-1 game.
And we knew with USF that they were going to need to chip away. Both of these teams needing to chip away at the pitching staffs, and that's just a great piece of hitting there. Just out of the reach of Molly Smith, hitting up the middle, hits it off of the end of the bat. If we were able to see that in slow-mo, she hits it off the end of the bat, but she swings with such incredible bat speed that's actually what makes the difference. Goes to show you what happens when you have intentional hard hacks and what that can do even if you miss-hit a ball.
A meeting in the circle as Natalie Poole has come out to talk to her team to regroup here a little bit as the Bulls have responded. After giving up 2 runs in the first inning, they've gotten 3 hits this inning against Smith, including that RBI hit by Brooke Hartman, her 33rd RBI of the season. A 2-1 game, and Macy Cook will come to the plate. First and third, 1 out here in the first inning. The winner of this game to take on Tulsa tomorrow at noon Eastern. Tulsa defeating Houston earlier today, 7-3, behind a conference tournament record 15 strikeouts from Emily Watson. As Watson improved to 5-0 in her career in conference tournament games in the American. Macy Cook now, a junior catcher at the plate. First pitch, and Cook takes a strike. And it was Cook who had that RBI single last night in the bottom of the 6th that gave USF at the time a 1-0 lead, only to see UConn tie it up in the top of the 7th. And that, of course, played on until the 12th inning before the Bulls pulled it out 2-1. The 0-1. Cook swings and crushes that ball deep left field. Forget about it. See ya. A 3-run homer by Macy Cook. And the Bulls charging into a 4-2 lead here in the first. No doubt about that one. Second home run of the year for Cook, and she was sitting on that one.
Let's take a look at that again, and she just gets every bit of that ball, has her timing down, knows what pitch she's looking for, able to send it out of the park. That 3-run shot, that's the kind of softball that we expect here at the American Athletic Conference Tournament. And I'll tell you what, this is the most exciting part of the year because everyone's skills have been honed in all year long. All of those reps, all of the experience, all of the failure that you've accumulated over the year, you've got an opportunity to learn from.
New pitcher, we'll tell you about her when we come back. Bulls lead 4-2 here on ADN.
Welcome into the ADN studio. Hope your week is off to a great start. Thanks for tuning in to an all-new episode of The Rise.
And Mike Hughes, the kicker to beat. Do you believe it?
Kareem Bruton Jr. for the win. Yes!
The American Conference Championship. Bernie scores.
The next biggest game is our biggest game, and we've been doing that all year.
A game like this, you got to want to win the game. We get to the point to where, okay, we're all scratching the itch, waiting for college football to start.
How impressive is it that both of these programs have been here the last 4 years?
This ball is launched out and beyond left field. Bohm gets around on this one, up the line, that's fair.
I couldn't be prouder. I mean, this conference has just performed beyond anyone's expectations.
First pitch from new pitcher Mariah Nichols is a strike to Amber Atkinson here in the bottom of the first. Molly Smith, 25 wins this year, 12 shutouts, among the nation's best. Knocked out here in the first inning, giving up 4 runs. A 3-run homer by Cook. And as a result, Natalie Pohl going to the bullpen and bringing in the freshman, Mariah Nichols, who has, of course, been brought in as a reliever a ton this season. But the young freshman here earlier than maybe many Tiger fans would have expected. As the 1-1 is high, 2-1 to Atkinson.
And you're seeing from Nichols, I mean, she has shouldered a lot of the innings along with Molly Smith, right? She comes into this tournament having thrown just over 130 innings. And so she carries that 2.95 ERA proudly as that freshman. And she's had 73 strikeouts out on the year and has some pretty good wins under her belt, 11 wins so far on this season, and has tossed 10 complete games. So we know that she's gotten the experience in her freshman campaign, helping Molly Smith with the load in order to.
It's a grounder to short. Trosclair throws to first. It's too high. And Atkinson's safe. Everything going the Bulls' way here in the bottom of the first.
And we see Atkinson actually brought back into the game. She was not in the starting lineup last night, but she was all-conference first team this year. It just goes to show the depth of bench that you have over at USF. The fact they didn't have to start one of their all-conference selections.
Cassidy Boyle now, the senior, will come to the plate. Runner at first and 1 out. And so Nichols in relief here. Delivers first pitch. A strike inside to Boyle. Just a stunning development. Really today. I mean, coming in, Cindy, you and I were talking off the air. You got Hebner and Watson head-to-head, the last two American Conference pitchers of the year. You've got Molly Smith, a second-team all-conference. You expected Memphis to get the ball. Cheyenne Eggins, in her own right, a former all-conference player last season. But the bats have been the story in both of these games today.
Which is so funny because in contrast, yesterday we just didn't see the offense I think that we were expecting. We saw the dominance of the pitchers in the circle. And so many to admire in this tournament so far. And I think you're absolutely right, Eric. The offense has absolutely lit up in this game. We saw Tulsa and what it looked like to see them all of a sudden light up in that pressure situation. And now we're seeing both of these teams kind of light up, especially USF here.
The 2-1. It's fouled off. Tulsa won earlier today 7-3. That was a stunning score just from the standpoint. Again, Watson and Hebner, you expect a low-scoring game. It was a 7-3 game. Some defensive miscues on both sides contributed to the runs, in fairness to both pitchers. That being said, it was a 7-3 game. And here, a 4-2 game in the first inning. Stunning. And maybe the biggest surprise that Molly Smith pulled after the first inning here. As the runner goes, the throw to second is not in time, and a stolen base, and the Bulls have a runner at second as Atkinson gets the steal. The count will be 3-2 to Cassidy Boyle.
Only her 5th stolen base on the season here. Now 5 for 6. But that's really characteristic of this USF. That's part of their program identity, is being aggressive on the base paths, pushing the envelope whenever they can to get that extra 60 feet.
Well, and I think Coach Erickson senses the momentum on this side, and I think he senses Memphis maybe a little bit on their heels a little bit, maybe a little bit rattled here for the first time. And they scored 2 in the top of the first. They're feeling pretty good. You got your ace, but then you see your ace give up 4 runs and get pulled. You got to be a little rattled here. The 3-2, low ball 4 and a walk to Boyle.
And look at the production that we've seen so far from USF, right? And that is the lone out going to Aston Donovan. I mean, she's been the one that's been a catalyst for this USF offense, and they don't need her right now. They're able to produce all across the board right now through their lineup, and that's really what it's going to take. This is the perfect time for them to have that sort of chemistry.
Anna Marie Bruni, the sophomore left-handed hitter, takes ball 1. 1-0 to the count to the sophomore. Bruni getting the start at right field, hitting 8th today. Played in the field yesterday. One of many players that played last night in that 12-inning marathon. And you wondered how the Bulls would come out after such a lengthy game, 12 innings, as the 1-0. And their bats have been on fire. It's almost like that bottom of the 12th and getting that hop in the wind has really kind of given a spark to this offense.
Oh, yeah, it's like they carried the momentum into today with, a 16-hour window? And what I want to point out, too, is that USF, again, the experience that they bring to this field, Bruni and Hartman are the only 2 sophomores in this lineup.
Foul ball there called. You brought that up yesterday. That was kind of the theme of the games on the results yesterday. Tulsa, who's in the championship game for the 4th straight year. The senior class for Tulsa can say they were in an American Conference championship game every year. That is remarkable. That's experience. Houston had his experience from last year. Memphis, with their seniors, have experience from that win last year and their experience, a senior pitcher. And then USF, you mentioned, very deep veteran team. 2-1 the count to Bruni with the freshman Nichols. And Bruni fouls it off. And Nichols, this is her first appearance in a conference tournament game here. Did not have to pitch yesterday. Molly Smith held UCF to 2 hits. The Bulls have gotten 4 today here in the first inning with 4 of them there against Molly Smith, including a 3-run homer by Macy Cook. 2-2 the count. 1 out here in the first inning. 4-2 Bulls. Fireworks here in the first inning from both sides.
And we've seen some fatigue from the starting pitchers yesterday, right? We saw some fatigue from Molly Smith, Savannah Hebner, and we did see some from Watson. There were a number of times in the game that we said that, there are pitches that she's throwing, she's just not on. Had 3 errant changeups that kind of went over the head of Riley Spell that resulted in some free passes for Houston. So it actually doesn't surprise me that Nichols is coming in today kind of based on the what we've seen thus far today from the starting pitchers.
Bernie struck out there with a second out of the inning. Jasmine Haynes, the freshman, takes up high for a ball. Haynes is in the DP spot today after playing left field last night.
That means I misspoke earlier. She is one
Actually,
of
take
three.
that back. In left field, they moved Atkinson to DP before the first pitch. My apologies on that. If we learned yesterday, Coach Erickson likes to move that around.
Oh, moved it all around yesterday and moved it on us today.
Likes to move that puzzle, you know, and give his roster and his lineup, you know, flexibility. Smart.
And it was great yesterday, the fact that we were able to kind of talk through some strategy when he was dealing with matchups. And you said, Eric, he's a baseball guy, so that's something that he really resonates with.
Runners take off, and it's going to be a double steal.
Ooh, definitely a mental miscue there from Memphis. Hadley getting caught, just not paying attention. And again, USF being true to their program standards and what they preach every day. And the aggression on the base paths makes a huge difference.
2-1 count. And that's a strike, and the count is 2-2. If Haynes gets on, the Bulls would have batted around as Lauren Evans is on deck. She started this inning with that single. Second and third, 2 outs. And the 2-2. Haynes takes away ball 3. Tigers wanted that call that was similar to that strikeout call that Molly Smith got against Donovan. I think that's why the Tigers faithful here in attendance thought they would get that call, but not the case. 3-2. Haynes hits it off the glove of Nichols to Trosclair. The throw to first. In time, inning ends. Big play by the senior Trosclair to get out of that inning. But the Bulls' offense explodes for 4 runs, highlighted by the 3-run homer by Macy Cook. And at the end of 1, it's USF 4-2 here on the American Digital Network.
There are other people just like you. Driven, determined. Those who use passion to spark creation. Others who are ready to unite and discover together. It all starts with you and continues with us, the University of South Florida.
Power comes in all forms. Power is a big tackle,
A big save.
A clutch hit.
And a game-winning shot.
Power is also standing up for what is right.
Power is respecting an opponent, officials,
student athletes, coaches, and team representatives.
Power is not tolerating racial or ethnic comments,
Profanities or other improper actions.
While at the game. Be American.
Power.
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 Power for life.
Top of the second, an explosive start for this Bulls offense and his Bulls team. And with more on USF, here's Haley Outten.
We saw an action-packed first inning, and at first it seemed like Memphis really came out with the momentum, but then it was USF who responded with 4 runs, and it's really not that surprising, and that's in large part due to the way head coach Ken Erickson has trained his team, and it's to mentally stay in the present. Coach Erickson always reminds the team and staff that his goal is to go for the perfect practice, and he doesn't look too far ahead. And when I talked to him after last night's game, I think it was the perfect representation of that, because I asked him about today's game, and even that was too far ahead. He was worried about getting his hangry players in the dugout. Those were his words, dinner. So really staying in the present, winning that day, winning that moment, and taking it all in as it comes is his consistent message.
Thanks, Haley. And I guarantee you, Haley, if Ken Erickson and the Bulls win this game, he'll give you the exact similar answer if you have the chance to talk to him after the game. You'll ask about Tulsa, and he will not answer that question. But he's locked in. And he's locked in right now in the second inning as he sees his pitcher, Cheyenne Eggins, deliver a pitch. It's a grounder to short. Boyle is there. Will throw to first. In time, they get Reagan Hadley for the first out here in the second inning. So Eggins with a ground out. And if you're Cheyenne Eggins, Sydney, you know, had a tough first inning, but now you've got a 2-run lead to work with.
Well, and that makes a huge difference when it comes to your defense relaxing. And Boyle, you know, what we've come to expect from Cassidy Boyle, she is outstanding there at shortstop. She makes some of the most athletic plays in this conference at that position. she wows a lot of people in this conference and a lot of opposing teams, and she's able to get that play.
Kendall Lee, a freshman at the plate for the Tigers. Part of this freshman class that Natalie Poole is excited about. I had a chance to talk to her about it last year in Greenville. As the 0-1 is hit to second, but Devitt is there. Will throw to first in time for the second out of the inning. This was a freshman class. Of course, the Tigers lose the graduation. Lindsey Crowdis, one of the best players in the history of the program, a co-player of the year in the American Conference last year. So I asked her, boy, what's it going to be like? You have a hard time replacing Crowdis, and it is hard to replace a player like Crowdis, but she was really excited about this freshman class to come along with this group that she had, and she was right. 37 wins on the season for the Tigers. And here they are in the semifinals once again for the second consecutive year. The count is 0-1 to Erin Parker, who's just a sophomore herself, here against Cheyenne Eggins. The 0-1, low for a ball. 1-1 the count. So Erin Parker here at the top of the second inning. A Tiger program that also had a mini first this year. Beat Ole Miss. At home, first time. As that pitch is fouled off. Now, it's actually the second time they've beaten Ole Miss in their program history, but the first time they beat Ole Miss was on a neutral field. And this year was bigger because obviously Ole Miss is a very good team, a team that's been in the top 25 all year. Really a big confidence booster for this team. They've played some good teams there. They had some great wins in conference, winning 2 out of 3 from Tulsa. In their last home series, that pitch is fouled. Finishing 5th, had a tough end of the regular season, got swept by Houston. Houston has always been a tough matchup for Memphis. And it always happens that way, right? In conference game, there's always that one team that gives another team fits in matchups for whatever reason. There's no really, you just kind of shake your head sometimes on those type of things. But
and sometimes that Memphis did the same thing to Houston, especially at home. You know, Memphis has an incredible home field advantage. USF clearly capitalizing on that as well here.
And Parker capitalizes there on that high chopper to get on with 2 outs.
Yeah, just a great choice there from Parker. And we talked about how important it was for this Memphis team to work together in order for them to string hits together, in order for them to be successful. Parker does a great job of that there. Doesn't do too much, doesn't even finish her swing, and even gets jammed a little bit and makes it work to her favor.
So now Kyler Trosclair, the all-time hits leader in Memphis softball. Takes for a ball, 1-0 the count. Kyler among the nation's leaders, as Sydney mentioned earlier, 8 triples, hitting .398 coming into this game. Picked up that leadership from Lindsey Crowdis. 2 of the great players in Tiger softball history, and that's what you're seeing. More and more talented and excellent players coming in through this program with Natalie Poole. There's a ball and a strike to count to Trosclair. And that's a ball 2. And I know you said something to me off the air because you were talking to some of the Memphis players and some of the Memphis people. They know who they are. They don't try to beat. Sometimes teams think they're one thing, but they're not really. They know who they are. They don't go away from that.
Well, and what's great is that, I think, Eric, you just said it, is that Memphis is very rooted in what their identity is as a program. Got an opportunity to talk to Brooke Lee especially. She was the one telling me that, hey, you know, we know we're not going to win with the long ball. We know we have to work together, play a good short game. We know how we have to execute, and it's a matter of whether we get it done together.
3-1 pitch is a strike. 3-2 the count. And that's easier said than done. Sometimes you see teams that kind of go away. They don't know who their identity is. That's really a big part of the success is knowing who you are true to form. As the 3-2 is fouled off. And that's been a big part of the Tiger softball. We talked about it yesterday. It's old school softball, but they buy into it.
Well, and that's one of the things that made UCF successful for so many years, being so consistent on executing the short game. And, you know, again, if you're not going to be able to rely on the long ball, you have to be able to rely on stringing together hits and working together.
The 3-2 and Trosclair Clatt with a base hit to left. And Kyler gets on again for the second time in this game, and the Tigers putting a 2-out rally here in the second inning.
And again, a perfect example here from both Parker and Trosclair, making sure that they're choosing good pitches. Great barrel control, just pops it through the 5-6 hole out of reach of Hartman. And what are you going to do? This is a perfect example of Memphis coming together and doing what they need to do to produce.
And that's going to be it for now, at least, for Cheyenne Eggins, as Ken Erickson's going to call to the bullpen. We'll tell you who the new Bulls pitcher is when we come back here on the American Digital Network.
Welcome in to the ADN studio. Hope your week is off to a great start. Thanks for tuning in to an all-new episode of The Rise.
And Mike Hughes, the kicker to beat. Do you believe it?
Kareem Bruton Jr. for the win. Yes!
The American Conference Championship. Bernie scores.
The next biggest game is our biggest game, and we've been doing that all year.
A game like this, you got to want to win the game. We get to the point to where, okay, we're all scratching the itch, waiting for college football to start.
How impressive is it that both of these programs have been here the last 4 years?
This ball is launched out and beyond left field. Bohm gets around on this one, up the line, that's fair.
I couldn't be prouder. I mean, this conference has just performed beyond anyone's expectations.
There you see the new pitcher for the USF Bulls, Hannah Parker, the lefty, 2-2 on the year in conference games, that is, and she's coming in relief. She came in relief yesterday and on the season. So she comes in, and not a surprise here. Quick hook for Eggins, only going an inning and 2/3, at least for now. Have you learned her lesson from yesterday? Mm-hmm. But Parker's always, throughout the last couple of years here, the 2 seasons in this series, she has been a big part of this series matchup between USF and Memphis. And Delaney Smith hits one to the right side. Devitt flipped the first in time, inning over. What a play by Lindsey Devitt to end the inning. We're through an inning and a half here in Tampa. USF leads 4-2 on the American Digital Network.
There are other people just like you, driven, determined, those who use passion to spark creation. Others who are ready to unite and discover together. It all starts with you and continues with us, the University of South Florida.
Power comes in all forms.
Power is a big tackle.
A big save.
A clutch hit.
And a game-winning shot.
Power is also standing up for what is right.
Power is respecting an opponent, officials, student athletes, coaches, and team representatives.
Power is not tolerating racial or ethnic comments.
Profanities or other improper actions.
While at the game. Be American.
Power.
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 Power for life.
There you see the American Softball Championship 2018 edition here in Tampa, Florida. It's been a fun one. Second semifinal. Here's we're in the bottom of the second. USF with a 4-2 lead. Eric Lopez alongside Sydney Gerbach and Haley Alton. A wild game start to this game. Both starting pitchers taken out already. Molly Smith, who was a second-team all-conference, among the nation's best, knocked out, only going a third of an inning, giving up 4 runs in the first inning. And Cheyenne Eggins now just got pulled in the second inning. It's a 4-2 lead for the Bulls, and Evans takes ball 1. It was Lauren Evans who led off that first inning with a single to right and came around to score in that inning. Of course, she was the hero of last night's Classic against UConn with an RBI hit walk-off in the bottom of the 12th. The 1-0 is up high, 2-0 the count here to Lauren Evans. As you've got Mariah Nichols, the freshman, had to come in relief in that first inning. Really, you could argue is the future of Tigers softball as far as pitching, with Smith being the senior. Delivers a strike. Of course, the Tigers had to deal with injuries this season. Christian Novak, who was a big part of the Tigers' success last season, out with an injury, injured her knee this season, and which was really unfortunate, had a serious back injury. In fact, had back surgery throughout her career. In fact, had their procedure done by a doctor in a reality show. And was able to get back on the field and was successful, but unfortunately this season, a knee injury. There was a reality show with a doctor, and he was the one that fixed Christian Novak's back. As Evans draws a walk here to start the second inning. It took place a couple of years ago. And her career was in jeopardy with her back. and was able to overcome that pitch well, but unfortunately had a knee injury this season, and so.
And as an athlete, I mean, the two injuries that you have to be really careful with, anything to head, anything to neck or spine, right? So all injuries are really are obviously going to hinder an athlete, but those are the two that you have to be really careful about. You can even say three, neck and spine or back being separate.
Swing and a miss for Donovan, who struck out looking back in the first inning. With Evans at first base. And nobody out. And Nichols delivers foul. So as a result of that Novak injury, I think Nichols has had probably a bigger role than maybe Natalie Poole was planning on this season. But she's been great, as you mentioned, has helped carry the load. And I think is set up to be a big part of the pitching staff next season. Certainly Molly Smith is going to be a tough player to replace if you're Memphis, but Nichols has been also a big part of the success this year for the Tigers. Obviously under the radar with the success of Molly. But I know they like Nichols. Again, part of that freshman class that Natalie Poole has brought in that she felt was maybe the best class to this point that she's brought in since she's been here at Memphis.
Well, and that's here we are with Coach Poole doing an incredible job of recruiting, right? And bringing in the type of kids that she wants to help build this Memphis program.
That's a high chopper. Trosclair will throw to first. Not in time as Donovan, vintage Aston Donovan, gets the infield hit, and the Bulls have 2 on, nobody out here in the second.
Number 24, the second baseman, Lindsay.
That'll bring up Lindsay Devitt to the play, but Kyler Trosclair knows better than anyone on a play like that. There's nothing you could do about it. She's gotten many hits like that, and unfortunately for her this time, it was Aston returning the favor there.
And she gets rid of the ball as fast as she can.
Yeah.
I mean, she does everything she can within her power to get Donovan out, and Donovan's just too quick.
So Devitt will punt and gets it down. Tough play. They'll throw to first. They get the out at first as Threek made the play, but that does advance the Bulls runners into scoring position with Lauren Evans at third base and Aston Donovan at second.
And just a beautiful sacrifice bunt here again. They pulled this in the first inning to put 2 runners in scoring position. This is just good softball. We talked about how important it was for other teams other than Memphis to be able to execute in the short game when it's called upon. And we saw a great example of that right there to set up Hartman.
Hartman at the plate has 10 homers on the year. Swings at the first pitch, grounds to third. And the throw to first in time. Nice play by Parker, the third baseman. One of the better defensive third basemen in the conference. Gets Hartman on a 5-3 ground out.
Really good reaction there from Parker. Fields looks back, Lauren Evans. Great textbook softball there from that third baseman.
So Park, Macy Cook now. This was her first at bat in the first. Crushing that ball to left field off Molly Smith, the 3-run homer. That gave the Bulls a 4-2 lead. That's where we stand right now is Cook. Is ahead 1-0 the count. Of course, runners at second and third. 2 outs here in the second inning. That was only Cook's second home run of the year.
Looked like Cook was a little bit ahead of that ball. You see her extend her hands out in front of her before she finishes her hack.
That's
on
a
that home run.
Pop up to first as Threek makes the catch in foul territory to end the Bulls' threat. We are through 2 complete here in Tampa. USF leads 4-2 on the American Digital Network.
Welcome into the ADN studio. Hope your week is off to a great start. Thanks for tuning in to an all-new episode of The Rise.
And Mike Hughes, the kicker to beat. Do you believe it?
Kareem Bruton Jr. for the win. Yes!
The American Conference Championship. Bernie scores.
The next biggest game is our biggest game, and we've been doing that all year.
A game like this, you got to want to win the game. We get to the point to where, okay, we're all scratching the itch, waiting for college football to start.
How impressive is it that both of these programs have been here the last 4 years?
This ball is launched out and beyond left field. Bohm gets around on this one, up the line, that's fair.
I couldn't be prouder. I mean, this conference has just performed beyond anyone's expectations.
Welcome back. Top of the third inning here at USF Softball Stadium here. Eric Lopez alongside Sidney Gerback. The winner of this game to advance to the championship game tomorrow at noon Eastern to take on the two-time defending conference tournament champion Tulsa Golden Hurricane, who defeated Houston earlier today 7-3. Hannah Parker, who came in relief in the second inning, will start this third inning. Parker pitched 3 1/3 innings yesterday in a very unique way, being changed back and forth with her and Georgina Korick, and gave up the 4 hits and 1 run that was unearned. 5 strikeouts in that relief appearance. As that first pitch is to Bailey Smith is a ball. But today I don't think it's as much about matchups as it's much more of, I think Coach Erickson and Jessica Moore, the former Oregon All-American, who's the pitching coach, just didn't like what they were seeing from Cheyenne, the starter, and her pitches. And I think he just wanted to bring in Parker because Korick, remember, 8 2/3 innings in last night's game. So you don't know how much she would have available today. Plus, they might want to save her if they can win this game to get to the title game.
Well, I think that you've said it right there. I think saving her for that title game. And they'll bring her in if they need to for this game in order to get the win. But Parker showed us her chops last night. I mean, she came in, and that's really difficult to do, between in and out and in and out. And it disrupts a pitcher's rhythm when they're taken out after a couple batters. But both Korick and Parker had an incredible presence on the mound last night. You just have to tip your hat to them for making that happen.
And she just froze Bailey Smith there with a strikeout for the first out of the inning. Parker's a weapon that Coach Erickson likes to use out of the bullpen. A lefty off speed, and it's not an accident that she came in with Korick. Korick's more of the power thrower, if you will, quote unquote, compared to what Parker, although Parker changes more of the speed, as with Ashley Threet at the plate. And Parker's been a very significant piece used in the last 2 years in this matchup between Memphis and USF. This is their 8th meeting in the last year, by the way, Memphis and USF, as Threet fouls it off. And Parker has pitched in more than a majority of those games, in part to try and control the slap hitters of the Tigers' offense.
Oh, yeah, that lefty-lefty combination. And we talk about how much Erickson, he's a baseball guy, right? He loves to cater to those matchups and put his team in the best position to win as a result. But I think what's great about Parker and what the challenge is for the Tigers is going to be, it's actually a lot harder to adjust to a pitcher that's slower than it is to adjust to a pitcher that's faster, because all you have to do is put your barrel out there for a pitcher that's fast and let them supply the power. Here, you have to be really disciplined about your bat speed and not slow down your bat speed to the speed of the ball coming in.
2-2 the count to Ashley Threet, with 1 out here in the top of the third inning. Parker on the 2-2. Strike 3 looking, frozen, and there's that pitch that just causes problems for left-handed hitters as Parker gets the strikeout. Back-to-back, 2 gone here in the third inning.
That pitch is nasty.
You've been impressed with that pitch. Seen it in person. You really, here's the web right here.
I'm impressed with the way that she wields that backdoor off-speed curve. I mean, I think that is really impressive. And, she's not going to blow it by you even with the pitches that she throws with a little bit more velocity, but that is her to-go pitch. That is the one that she can get more often than not only a called strike, but that swing and miss.
Brooke Lee fouls the ball off down the left side. You mentioned Ken Erickson, of course, a baseball guy, baseball background, played baseball here at USF. He's been the head coach here at the softball program for 22 seasons. And Parker, it reminds me a lot. Some people have talked to, and this is a baseball analogy, have compared Ken Erickson to a Joe Madden, who likes to go matchups, former Tampa Bay Rays manager, the current manager of the Chicago Cubs. And Hannah Parker, somebody told me, I remember when I was here talking to some of the people, it's kind of like the J.P. Howe, who was a longtime lefty reliever for the Rays that Madden would use on a lot of different situations. So that would be the parallel. As the 1-1 is grounded to short. Boyle is there. Will throw to first in time to retire the side. We head to the bottom of the third. USF leading 4-2 on the American Digital Network.
Power comes in all forms.
Power is a big tackle,
a big save,
a clutch hit,
and a game-winning shot.
Power is also standing up for what is right.
Power is respecting an opponent, officials, student athletes, coaches, and team representatives.
Power is not tolerating racial or ethnic comments,
profanities, or other improper actions
while at the game.
Be American.
Power.
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 Power for life.
7,000 student athletes rising to become champions in 21 different sports at 13 esteemed institutions across 11 states. 360,000 students and 2.6 million alumni rise up in celebration of a Power 6 conference known as the American.
We're at the campus of the University of South Florida, Tampa, Florida. Beautiful day. It's been a beautiful week here in Tampa, Florida as we head to the bottom of the third. Bulls leading 4-2. The winner of this game again to play tomorrow, high noon, against the Tulsa Golden Hurricane. As Amber Atkinson will lead it off here for the Bulls. If you just joined us, you missed a wild start to the game. Memphis got 2 in the top of the first, only to see the Bulls respond with 4 runs in the bottom of the first, knocking out all-conference pitcher Molly Smith. A 3-run homer by Macy Cook. And here we are now in the bottom of the third. Both teams have gone to their bullpens, with the freshman Mariah Nichols here for the Tigers. And Atkinson hits one off the left side in foul territory. And charging in and making the catch is Bailey Smith, showing her speed to make the catch for the first out of the inning.
And that's a great play. We talked about how important it was to take the bat out of a hitter's hand when there are foul balls that are catchable. We saw that a lot from Tulsa yesterday, from Torrey Stafford, and that's just a great play there by Smith.
Cassidy Boyle will come to the plate. The right-handed hitter swings at the first pitch, lines to short, caught by Trosclair, the senior, to make the catch. 2 outs here in the third.
Number 4, the right fielder, Anna Marie Bruni.
That'll bring up Anna Marie Bruni. Step into the plate.
And a well-hit ball just right into the glove of Trosclair. I mean, what else can you do if you're Cassidy Boyle? I mean, just continue to build off of that. You've hit the ball solid. You've chosen a great pitch.
First pitch low for a ball to Bruni. Struck out in her first at-bat. Of course, the Bulls won the regular season title on the final weekend of the regular season, taking 2 out of 3 on this field against Wichita State. As there's a grounder to first. Ashley Threet makes the tag there to end the inning. A quick 1-2-3 inning for Nichols sends us to the fourth. USF leading 4-2 on the American Softball Championships on ADN.
Welcome in to the ADN studio. Hope your week is off to a great start. Thanks for tuning in to an all-new episode of The Rise.
And Mike Hughes, the kicker to beat. Do you believe it?
Kareem Bruton Jr. for the win. Yes!
The American Conference Championship. Bernie scores.
The next biggest game is our biggest game, and we've been doing that all year.
A game like this, you got to want to win the game. We get to the point to where, okay, we're all scratching the itch, waiting for college football to start.
How impressive is it that both of these programs have been here the last 4 years?
This ball is launched out and beyond left field. Bohm gets around on this one, up the line, that's fair.
I couldn't be prouder. I mean, this conference has just performed beyond anyone's expectations.
Welcome in. You're watching the American Softball Championship live on the American Digital Network. USF takes a 4-2 lead heading into the top of the fourth. And Sydney, I want to pick your brain on this because we talked about this before this game, is superstitions. Softball players, baseball players rather, are some of the most superstitious of them all. And in the Memphis dugout, they do this thing called passing the out. And I watched head coach Natalie Poole do it here in the last inning as Memphis recorded 3 quick outs. So Sydney, superstitions, where do you rate that one amongst the rest?
Well, I think that's awesome that they have that superstition. It's so in line with their identity as a program, right? Always wanting to make sure that they're on the same page, that they're playing together, and their superstition is something that they do together, so that's very fitting. But, you know, I personally, superstitions I know have played a large role. I know they play a large role for a lot of players. I don't have very many. I didn't have very many as a player. always said that, hey, if we have to rely on superstitions, we're not very good softball players, but I know that it makes a big difference to certain programs.
That's a fair ball down the line as Addison Maxwell gets the Tigers started here in the 4th inning with a double. What works, works. Maxwell with the double, and good start for Memphis.
And a beautiful stroke there by Maxwell. Chooses a great pitch, is perfectly on time there for the pitch against Parker, and able to put herself in scoring position all on her own.
Reagan Hadley to the plate, the junior right-hander, against the lefty Parker. And the first pitch is a strike. Superstition's always a big part of the game. I don't know, we didn't get a chance to ask Haley what her superstition. Maybe silent reporters, do they have superstition?
I mean, they might. I know that I remember, and maybe it wasn't a superstition. I remember as a player, one of the I always took a game day shower before a game.
That's a blooper to right, and that's going to drop in for a hit. They will hold the runner at third, and the Tigers with a little momentum right now here in the 4th with a couple of hits, a double and a single. And the Tigers are threatening here in the 4th.
Well, and I would love to hear some of Haley's superstitions. Like I said, one of my game day rituals was showering. I liked to braid my hair when it was wet, put it back in a low bun. Haley, do you have any superstitions before you come on air?
Not before I come on air, but thinking back to my collegiate days as a soccer player, a little bit different when it comes to superstitions. Probably, I would say more subtle things like, how you wear your socks, maybe putting some tape on your wrist with, quotes or important things to you. So not quite as obvious maybe as what we witness in the softball or baseball dugouts. But I had so much fun watching. I didn't actually know what passing the out meant. I had to ask Sydney, and I actually watched them each take their fingers and touch the next person next to them and physically pass the out. So I thought it was pretty funny.
It is, and the Tigers using that momentum perhaps right here in the 4th inning.
Yep, every athlete has their thing, right?
Every
helps make them successful.
I got my own superstitions.
Every somebody has that ritual, right?
Yep.
A success ritual, rather.
Whatever works for you.
Yep.
First pitch to Lee, and that's going to drop into right for a hit. A run will score, and it's a 1-run ball game as Kendall Lee drives in the run for the Tigers.
One of the things I loved talking about, a great piece of hitting there, again, highlighting the fact that they're not trying to do too much as a squad, really stringing together those singles, hitting behind their runner, playing good softball. But you just saw a perfect example of this Memphis program really truly playing together and even enrolling their parents in the stands. A lot of noise being generated by the fans here at the USF softball stadium for the Tiger faithful.
A pitching change here in the 4th inning as Nicole Doyle will come in relief. And what a turn of events going on. What a week for this conference. Haley, a busy week in the conference. We got the softball championships, but that's not the only championship that's going on this week in the conference.
No, it is not. We have 3 conference championships going on all essentially at the same time. Today, the semifinals in softball, and then also the first day of the track and field championship in Cincinnati. And then tomorrow is the grand trio, the softball final, day 2 of track and field. And then we also have the rowing championship in the morning. So you can catch track and field and rowing on Facebook Live, and then the softball championship at noon on ESPN2.
That's right, Haley. I believe UCF is like the powerhouse in rowing. I think they've won the last 3 conference championships. I believe they're going for a 4-peat. Becky Kramer, the head coach there at rowing. Tremendous program there. Of course, track and field more wide open. Of course, Houston's been successful in the track and field slot.
Especially our men's track and field team. And, Haley doing it all over there. Not only she's locked in here helping us call this game, but she's been able to do all sorts of coordinating both on social media and online. So we definitely tip our hat as analysts in this booth and play-by-play. We could not do what she does and nearly as well. So, Haley, you are Wonder Woman. We said it yesterday. We truly admire all the work that you put in for this conference.
That travel mileage, she's been over at the golf championships and the tennis championships recently as well. So, and she'll be at baseball here at the end of the month in Clearwater. Baseball, as they get down the stretch, that's a top 4 league in the American Conference. They'll be in Clearwater, Florida at the end of the month, May 22nd to the 26th. So I have all the action there on the American Digital Network. As Aaron Parker The scheduled hitter here will face the new pitcher, Nicole Doyle.
One of the things I love, and maybe this ties into the superstitions, but I love the fact that, you know, in a conference tournament, every team and every player gets their walkout song. And that is also a big motivational factor, you know, hearing even like a success trigger almost, getting to hear your walkout song, being able to create some momentum for yourself. I think that's also a really important piece, and that's a piece that you also don't see in other sports. I mean, a walkout song, I can't tell you how many people said, oh, if I played softball or baseball, this is what my walkout song would be, and I got the opportunity to have one, or multiple.
Doyle, there's a bunt attempt by Parker. Hartman will throw to first in time, but it allows the Tigers to get 2 runners into scoring position, second and third, and 1 out. That's significant, as Kyler Trosclair-Clatt will come to the plate with 2 runners in scoring position. Doyle, by the way, the Bulls have a total of 6 pitchers on the staff. This is only Doyle's 15th appearance of the season. She's 1-3 with a 4.31 ERA. Very limited action, but again, with Corrick and Parker being used a lot yesterday and Cheyenne pulled early, Coach Harrison going deep into his bullpen here and calling on Doyle. Delivers a ball to Trosclair with runners at second and third and 1 out. Doyle, a junior. And Trosclair hits it up the middle for a hit. That will tie the game up at 4. The ball is bobbled. They're going to send the runner to throw home. It's not in time. And the Memphis Tigers have regained the lead 5-4. And it's the senior once again, Kyler Trosclair, delivering for the Tigers.
And there she is. Her bat's been hot all day long today. A miscue by Assen Donovan, not something we see very often, but it brings in 2 runs. Not only the tying, but the go-ahead for this Memphis squad. So 5-4 Memphis here about midway through this ball game.
Delaney Smith, the freshman, swings to the first pitch, pops it up foul territory. Hartman, does she have room? It's off the net. And you had talked about it since yesterday in the theme, leadership, veterans, seniors. Trosclair in a big spot here in the tournament with everything on the line with a big 2 RBI hit. It's probably a run and an error, but nonetheless giving them the lead. The veterans not being phased.
Oh, and it makes a huge difference, too, when your veterans, not only do they come up big, but they set the example.
That's a fly ball to right. And the catch is made by Bruni as Trosclair will tag and go to third base for the 2nd out of the inning. Haley, you got more on the Tigers.
Trosclair stepping up clutch for her team right there. But at the beginning of this inning, it was freshman Kendall Lee. And I think that sums up this Memphis team perfectly. From freshman all the way up through the senior class, it's a true team effort. And when I talked to senior Molly Smith yesterday, she said it's just such a fun group. And these freshmen, they're all super close. So just a true team effort. And something this Memphis Tigers team has been living by all season is that chemistry, all the way from the youngest player to the oldest player.
Thanks, Haley. That's a fantastic point. The seniors, the veterans, bringing in the youngsters, the freshmen together. Sometimes, you know, if you're an older classmate, there's a ball, gets past Cook, and Trosclair is going to score, and the Tigers lead 6-4. And there's where speed puts pressure. A ball that gets past Cook.
Well, and everybody doing their individual role here. Obviously, Trosclair not only capitalizing when she has runners in scoring position, but she's doing what she can to steal as many levels of 60 feet as she can. She makes a great, that's a great decision there, and she trusts her own speed, and that's exactly what you need in that particular situation.
Kyler's one of those few players that could probably pull that off. We're the best base runners in the history of this program. We're the best in the conference. Scoring there. And the Tigers have come back roaring, leading 6-4. And a 3-0 pitch is now at strike 3-1. But back to Haley's point, a senior group like Molly Smith and Trosclair embracing the freshmen. Sometimes, and you know this, you know, a senior may not kind of keep the freshmen or the youngsters kind of in their distance, maybe kind of let them figure it out on their own. But as there's the walk, this group embraced them, and they're a group together. They're a true definition of the team, and it's a credit to the leadership to bring in the freshmen and getting along.
Oh yeah, and I got a chance to talk to Molly Smith and Addison Maxwell, and Maxwell was the first thing to tell me that she's like, you know what, this team's different because every single person is bought in, and that makes a difference. You can't have somebody not bought into your program, regardless of whether they fall in terms of class, senior, junior, sophomore, freshman. Like, as long as everybody's on the same page, you can make incredible things happen, even if you don't necessarily rely on the long ball or have this super dominant pitching.
Threet hits a fly ball to center. Donovan is there to end the inning, but the Memphis Tigers, with 4 runs here in the inning, take a 6-4 lead as we head to the bottom of the 4th here on the American Digital Network.
Welcome in to the ADN studio. Hope your week is off to a great start. Thanks for tuning in to an all-new episode of The Rise.
And Mike Hughes, the kicker to beat. Do you believe it?
Kareem Bruton Jr. for the win. Yes!
The American Conference Championship. Bernie scores.
The next biggest game is our biggest game, and we've been doing that all year.
A game like this, you got to want to win the game. We get to the point to where, okay, we're all scratching the itch, waiting for college football to start.
How impressive is it that both of these programs have been here the last 4 years?
This ball is launched out and beyond left field. Bohm gets around on this one, up the line, that's fair.
I couldn't be prouder. I mean, this conference has just performed beyond anyone's expectations.
What a American Conference softball tournament we have had here so far in Tampa, Florida. We head to the bottom of the 4th. Memphis with a 6-4 lead, with the winner to advance to take on Tulsa, the 6th seed, the 2-time defending conference tournament champions, who defeated Houston earlier today 7-3. Eric Lopez alongside Sidney Gerback and Haley Outen. And you see Ken Erickson, the Bulls, now all of a sudden they got to respond after giving up 4 runs in the top of the 4th. Trailing 6-4 in a back-and-forth game. The Tigers led 2-0 with 2 in the first inning. And then the Bulls scored 4 in the bottom of the first, highlighted by a Macy Cook 3-run homer. But the Tigers responding with 4 runs in the 4th inning.
And this is the kind of game that has you on the edge of your seat, right? I can't wait to see what USF comes up with offensively in this inning. They had such an explosive response to Memphis putting runs up on the board first. I thought that was so great to see that them feeding off of that offensive momentum that we said they might have created last night. So the Bulls really living in the present moment, and Haley was able to bring us a bit of that when she was talking and referencing her interview with Erickson last night. But I think it's important that all of these athletes really hone in on this present moment here, not try to do too much. And we've seen great softball from both of these programs today.
Jasmine Haynes to lead it off for the Bulls. Tries to bunt and fouls it off. 0-1 the count. Haynes, Evans, Donovan, 9-1-2 the scheduled hitters for the Bulls against the freshman, Mariah Nichols. And just to finish the thought from the last half inning about the leadership, the seniors and the freshmen, you talked about how Memphis, they're a true team. And this was a great example. Their ace, Molly Smith, not having a good game, gets pulled in the first inning. They give up 4 runs as that's a grounder to short. Trosclair is there, will throw to first. Oh, it's not handled, and she's safe. As Threet couldn't handle it. And Haynes gets on here to start the bottom of the 4th. Let's see what happened there. The throw was there in time. I don't know if there was a bit of a...
It just looks like the momentum of the throw might have taken Threet's glove a little bit farther behind her. And obviously, Jasmine Haynes is going to be running through that as much as she can. So it might have been just the angle that Trosclair gave Threet.
Big moment there is runner at first and nobody out. And Evans takes a strike. 0-1 the count. To finish the thought, a lot of teams would be kind of like, uh-oh, this may not be our day. Our ace got pulled in the first inning. We're down 4-2, but Memphis fought back as a team, and they got 4 runs in the inning.
Well, yeah, and I think that just goes to show that they trust Nichols. I mean, they've seen her be successful in a number of situations. Molly Smith hasn't had to shoulder all of the innings, and she's had to have help, and Nichols has been integral to this program's success. And I think the fact that they're buying into exactly who they have in the circle at any given moment is going to be a key to their success, not only this season, but in coming seasons.
A ball and a strike to count to Lauren Evans with Haynes at first base. That's low for a ball. 2-1 the count. Haynes 3 for 3 this year in stolen bases. Keep in mind that Haynes has started today. This was her 8th start, but has appeared in 35 games. Two and 1 the count to Evans. And that hit Evans right in the knee. fifth time this year Evans has been hit by a pitch, and the Bulls now with 2 on, nobody out. Here at the bottom of the fourth for the senior, Aston Donovan.
Oh, she gets smoked in the knee. Looks like it's Oak. Yeah, it's her front knee. She goes ahead and takes it like a champ, and she turns her leg in, and that's what we've been taught to do as athletes, is protect all the things that really matter. She protects her kneecap by turning that front foot in towards the catcher, and she'll have a little bit of a bruise. Have to run that off. Don't rub it.
Natalie Bull will come out, settle down her freshman. There's action in the Tiger bullpen. It looks to me like Katie Brignac might be the one that's warming up, the senior. Both teams going deep into their bullpen in this game. We're only in the bottom of the fourth. Memphis with a 6-4 lead. And both teams meeting up here. Of course, a lot of meetings today. Usually they do have a limit in softball. Of course, baseball this year, in Major League Baseball, they've tried to limit down the meetings. And I know some people in the sport have tried to kind of think there should be a limit on how many meetings you could have in the mound or between your hitters to speed the game up with softball. I know that's definitely a big topic in baseball.
I mean, one of the reasons that people love watching softball in comparison to baseball, the games are so similar in so many ways, but the speed of softball is so different. I mean, the game moves by so much quicker.
Donovan with the bunt as Hadley throws to first in time to get Aston Donovan, who gets the sacrifice bunt, advancing Haynes to third and Lauren Evans to second, so 2 runners in scoring position.
Third inning we've seen so far. With USF employing the short game to move 2 runners in scoring position.
And Lindsay Devitt will come to the plate. She doubled at her first at-bat. That was back in the first inning. Second and third, 1 out. The freshman, Mariah Nichols, delivers the pitch. That's a strike, and the count is 0-1. A couple of Tiger pitchers now I see warming up in the bullpen. No action for now in the Bulls bullpen. Haynes at third, reached on the air. And then Lauren Evans on a hit by pitch. And Devitt takes a strike, and Nichols pounding the strike zone inside gets ahead 0-2.
Really relying on her lateral pitches, right? Those east and west, screwball, curveball. And then she's also gotten a couple swing and misses on a rise ball thus far in this game.
And a bunt attempt. They're going to try the squeeze, the flip home. Safe is the call. It works for the Bulls as Erickson goes to the trick on the squeeze play and gets a run. And the Bulls cut it within 1, 6-5. Everybody pulling out the bag of tricks here today.
Pulling out all the stops. I love everything about it. Love the gamesmanship. Love the air of competition. Both teams rising to the challenge, whatever's being called upon them to do. This is exactly the place that you want to be.
First and third, 1 out. Brooke Hartman at the plate. It's a 1-run game. Nichols, outside strike. That's a good read, right? I mean, there's a sign. Erickson gives the sign there to Devitt, but you got to read the defense, and they called it. They got it at the right time there against the freshman pitcher.
And great barrel control there by Devitt, right? Knowing exactly where she needs to put that ball.
The 0-1, that's hit to short. Trosclair's going to come home. The tag is made, and she's out. They throw to third, and safe is the call as Devitt just snuck in there at third base.
That's a great play there by Trosclair. Really heads up. Doesn't go for the for sure out. Heads out for the lead runner. And heads up play there by Hadley, trying to make a bang-bang play. Yep, beautiful. Everything she needs to be doing, and Hadley gets up, throws it.
Very close, and that was close. They do get the force out. As Natalie Poole is going to talk to the umpire, and I was wondering about this. She's going to argue, discuss that play at third base, because that looked very close, and I know that maybe could have almost had a double play to end the inning. I think she's going to discuss that play.
Well, I don't blame her. If I'm a head coach, that's exactly what I'm doing. I'm going out to defend.
You're right. I agree. Defend the play, defend the call. Here's the play right here. And Ooh.
It's really close. Really close, because here's the thing. She's tagging her shoulders, but Devitt is outstretched, right? So if she's tagging her shoulders and her hands are already on the bag, doesn't matter. So I think that's actually a really good call. Now that we've gotten an opportunity to see it again, that's a really good call.
It's 1st and 3rd, 2 outs. Macy Cook at the plate against Mariah Nichols. And a swing and a miss. Of course, it's easy with our great crew at the ADN with all the pictures they provide for us. You know, if the umps had that advantage, you know, we get everything correct. But, boy, game of inches. 0-1 the count, and Cook gets jammed. And lines it to Trosclair, who makes the catch to end the inning. The Bulls get a run, but after 4 innings here in Tampa, Memphis still leads, now 6-5 here on the American Digital Network.
There are other people just like you. Driven, determined, those who use passion to spark creation. Others who are ready to unite and discover together. It all starts with you and continues with us, the University of South Florida.
7,000 student athletes rising to become champions in 21 different sports at 13 esteemed institutions across 11 states. 360,000 students and 2.6 million alumni rise up in celebration of a Power 6 conference known as the American.
New pitcher for the USF Bulls, JoJo McGill, who as a pinch runner scored the game-winning run last night in the bottom of the 12th to give the Bulls the win, 2-1, is now in relief. This is the 4th USF pitcher in this game. Cheyenne Egan started, went about an inning and a third. They brought in Hannah Parker. She lasted up until the 4th inning. They brought in Nicole Doyle in that inning, and now Kaylin JoJo McGill is in relief. McGill was a weekend starter for them last season, so there's a experience in that regard, Sydney, that McGill is a starter and is capable of going deep.
Well, and talk about the depth of the pitching staff here at USF. McGill, like you said, I mean, she's mostly a drop ball pitcher. She's not going to have a changer off speed, which I think is probably going to work in Memphis's favor. But she's known for throwing in on the hands. That is her rise, right? And so she's going to be looking to jam and use her defense behind her in order to get those outs.
Brooke Lee at the plate. The count is 1-0. Now let's address this. Obviously, some that maybe are tuning in are wondering, wait a minute, what about Georgina Korick, was the co-pitcher of the year, the freshman and rookie of the year in the conference, hasn't pitched in this game. She started yesterday, went 9 2/3, and got the win. Of course, her and Parker split that game. It was a classic 12-inning game. Korick went 8 2/3 innings pitched, threw 112 pitches. I think Coach Erickson will bring Korick in this game only if the Bulls have the lead late. I think he's got Korick as a closer for this ball game, as the 3-0 pitch is a strike, and I think he's waiting on that, partly because she threw a lot of pitches yesterday, plus, you know, he's hoping to have her available for tomorrow if USF can even get to tomorrow. But I think right now Korick is in the role of closer if they have the lead, and I think that's why you've seen him go through his entire staff. That's a ball deep in the hole. Boyle's tough play, will throw to first, not in time, and Brooke Lee gets on.
Brooke Lee able to poke it through. Love that.
Do you think? Do you agree with my the thinking there? Is I think that's part of the thinking by Coach Erickson. Now the counter to that is saying, well, why not just bring her in now and try to keep this a one-run game? But again, Korick threw a lot of pitches back and forth. Youngster, you don't know how much, how she has today. You saw Molly Smith just didn't have her good stuff today after throwing a 7-inning shutout yesterday. Addison Maxwell fouls it off. And that's the uniqueness about the college game today, Sydney, is with staffs now, more and more pitchers aren't used to throwing back-to-back days and starting and going deep into games in back-to-back days.
Well, and I think that if you have and trust the depth of your pitching staff, why not use it? And why not give some innings in this championship setting to some of your younger pitchers? I think it's a great opportunity, and I think that Erickson obviously trusts these young women out here that he's putting in the circle. The team trusts them. They're continuing to create run support and produce runs, and I think that with the way that this game is going, there's probably more runs that we're going to see from both sides, so it would not surprise me, even if Memphis starts to get on this pitcher, that he makes another pitching change. He might bring somebody back in as a contrast.
1-2 inside to Maxwell. 2-2 the count. McGill is 4-2 on the year. This is her 23rd appearance. She has made 10 starts this year, but this is her 23rd appearance, a 4.29 ERA on the season. She has a 2-2 count against Maxwell, and Maxwell gets a piece of it to foul it off. There's also the matchup versus matchup situation as well.
It would not surprise me if after they put McGill in, if they take McGill out, that they put Parker back in. Based on her velocity and the way that her ball moves, again, she's a right-handed hitter. She has a drop ball. If she can bring her, if Memphis is going to have to force McGill to bring her drop ball up for a strike.
That's a ball to third. It's a fair ball. They'll throw to second for one, to throw to first. Not in time, and Maxwell will reach on the fielder's choice as they get the force out for the first out here in the top of the fifth. Going to bring up Reagan Hadley to the plate. I agree with you. Everything's in the cards here. Everything's in play here. Parker's definitely an option against lefties here as we get late in the game. Hadley now at the plate. And there's a strike. I think part of it also, you want to give everybody a chance of experience in postseason. Of course, USF winning the regular season title. Should be in the NCAA tournament, although you never know. Stranger things have happened in the committee.
And again, we talk about that word is dangerous, that should word, right?
Yeah, coaches hate that word.
Coaches hate that word. I think we hate that word, Eric. And I mean, you never want to take it. You never want to guarantee necessarily, unless you have a solidified spot in that top 25 and you have the record and being a perennial team. Yes, maybe then you can count on going to a regional. But at this point, I don't necessarily think that I would feel safe if I'm any of these teams right here. Don't even give the committee an opportunity to count you out.
Well, you want to win a championship. You're trying to win a championship this week. That's right
Absolutely.
Now the immediate focus here. 1-2 is inside, and it's ball two. 2-2 the count to Reagan Hadley. Runner at first, one out here in the top of the fifth. Now, for Memphis, it's simple. They know they got to win, more than likely win this tournament to get into the NCAA tournament. 2-2. That ball's hit in the left side for a base hit into left field as Hadley gets the hit. And the Tigers with 2 on and 1 out here in the fifth inning.
Well, and let's take a look here. I mean, just drives that ball well into the 5-6 hole. And I mean, right now we are looking at Memphis out hitting the Tigers 12-5. Talk about run production and the timely hit and doing what they need to do as a team to manufacture runs up on the board.
There is action in the Bulls bullpen. I can't tell who it is, but certainly not a surprise as right now McGill in a bit of trouble here in the fifth. And I think Coach Erickson also understands he doesn't want this game to get away. And like I said, it looks like that Cheyenne Eggins, who did start this game, could re-enter and be effective. So I'm glad I'm not a statistician for this game, as I've done that previous work. As Kendall Lee fouls it off. Again, for those that are new, there is the re-entry rule.
Yes.
In college softball, you can re-enter one. As we learned last night, you can, the roster, you can do it where a pitcher, you can change them as many times as you want if you flex that roster the way Coach Erickson did last night with Hannah Parker and Corrick. It's a swing and a miss by Kendall Lee because he kept them both in the lineup. Basically took Sam Worrell out of the lineup to keep Parker and Corrick in the lineup so he can do the flip throughout that marathon 12-inning game against UConn. 0-2 the count to Lee, and Lee reaches for it, lines to first, the catch is made, and they appeal to home plate, and it's safe. Wow. I haven't seen that one before. And it's first and second and 2 outs.
I think that's a good call, though. I mean, he's blocked by the runner from Memphis, so he doesn't get a good look. Lauren Evans making a great play, turns around, realizes that she can get the out, but it looks like she's safe. Looks like she gets gets her foot on the bag in time, but again, that's a really good. I think that's a great opportunity for the first base umpire to ask for help. We can see it from this angle, but he's just not at the angle in order to make that call.
And Sydney Burnett made the call there at home plate. As both teams discussing that. So there are 2 outs, first and second. And the Tigers go into the bench. Tyler Johnson, the junior, will pinch hit here. So Tyler Johnson will pinch hit here for Kendall Lee. So the Tigers going with the right-hander, Tyler Johnson, right-handed hitting junior, to hit here with 2 on, 2 outs here in the top of the 5th. And that one gets past Cook and into the backstop, and that's going to allow both Tigers runners to get into scoring position. That is significant.
Not having to rely on the short game here to get their to get 2 runners in scoring position.
We got Maxwell at third base and Hadley at second. A 1-0 count to Johnson. Inside, and that nearly got to Johnson there, and it's ball 2. 2-0 the count to Johnson.
Now McGill is going to need to hone in on the precision of her pitches. It's moving well. She's got great velocity, but she's not starting the ball where she needs to start it, especially on her screw and her curve offering, right? She's starting it a little bit too far over to where it's tailing out of the strike zone.
Johnson's pinch hitting for Aaron Parker in the 9 spot, by the way. My mistake, I mentioned earlier. It was Lee. There's a swing and a miss. And the count is 2-2, and that's significant because you have Trosclair on deck. So this is a big moment in this ball game right here for both sides. Second and third, 2 outs, and a 2-2 count to Tyler Johnson. McGill delivers, and that's foul tipped. Two balls, 2 strikes to count. You got Maxwell at third, Hadley at second. 2 outs here in the 5th. Tigers with a 6-5 lead. The pitch is fouled off. And the battle continues between Tyler Johnson and JoJo McGill. What an environment here. A lot of Tiger fans making the trip from Memphis, and of course Bulls fans here, of course, hosting the tournament. As the 2-2. Up high, 3-2. If Johnson reaches, Kyler Trosclair, the leading hitter on the Tigers, all-conference player, will come to the plate. The 3-2. And Johnson grounds to third. It's a foul ball. What a battle. Tyler Johnson and JoJo McGill in a big spot here in the top of the 5th in the American Conference semifinals, with a berth to the championship game on the line. The payoff pitch, and Johnson hits it into the left side for a hit. A run will score as Maxwell comes in. They throw to second, and they'll get Johnson picked off, but she drives in a run, and at the end of 4.5, Memphis extends their lead to 7-5 here on the American Digital Network.
Welcome in to the ADN studio. Hope your week is off to a great start. Thanks for tuning in to an all-new episode of The Rise.
And Mike Hughes, the kicker to beat. Do you believe it?
Kareem Bruton Jr. for the win. Yes!
The American Conference Championship. Bernie scores.
The next biggest game is our biggest game, and we've been doing that all year.
A game like this, you got to want to win the game. We get to the point to where, okay, we're all scratching the itch, waiting for college football to start.
How impressive is it that both of these programs have been here the last 4 years?
This ball is launched out and beyond left field. Bohm gets around on this one, up the line, that's fair.
I couldn't be prouder. I mean, this conference has just performed beyond anyone's expectations.
There you see Ken Erickson is looking at his lineup and probably trying to think about how am I going to be able to slow down this Memphis offense that has pounded 12 hits. Natalie Poole's group with a 7-5 lead here in the bottom of the fifth. 7 runs, 12 hits, 2 errors for the Tigers. 5 runs, 5 hits and 1 error for the Bulls. And what a response again by Memphis. Tyler Johnson with the pinch hit RBI hit gets picked, kind of caught between first and second in the inning. That's unfortunate if you're the Tigers because you would have had Kyler Trosclair to hit in the inning. But you do get a run to go up 2 again. Here in this wild shootout, 7-5, Memphis at the bottom of the fifth. Amber Atkinson will lead it off. Cassidy Boyle and Anna Marie Bruni are the scheduled hitters, 6, 7, 8. Aaron Parker re-enters the game, is back at third for the Tigers. The first pitch is a strike from Mariah Nichols. The freshman has been in relief since the bottom of the first with 1 out. Who would have thought of that storyline?
It's interesting that she's getting that call. Maybe it's because it's a little bit higher up on the strike zone, but you're seeing that on a right-handed hitter whenever McGill's throwing that same pitch, and she's just not getting the same call. So it's got to be a height thing. It might be just the fact that Macy Cook might just be squeezed in an awkward spot in between the white of the plate and the where the player starts or the hitter starts.
The 0-2, a reach, grounded to short. Kyler Trosclair throw to first. They get Atkinson for the first out here in the bottom of the fifth. So 1 out. Cassidy Boyle, the senior, will come to the plate. Go 1 on and 1 out. As you look at the replay here.
And Kyler Trosclair, really consistent over there. And we highlighted, how important both shortstops roles for these two teams. And Trosclair, obviously a mainstay over there as a senior.
First pitch low, ball 1. 1-0 the count to Boyle.
And her playing consistently and being that captain of the infield is a major indicator of the Tigers' success, especially defensively. Like, she's going to be the person that they're going to go to be that vocal leader.
And Boyle hits a ball deep to left field, back at the wall, it's gone! Solo home run for Cassidy Boyle. And the Bulls are within 1, 7-6, as they enter back. The senior Boyle with her 5th home run of the season.
And you see Boyle with a lot of excitement, plays with a lot of emotion, chooses a good pitch, and is able to rope that over the 9-foot fence, which we talked about, that being a factor for so many other teams. Obviously, that home field advantage playing in here a little bit, but just got to tip your hat to Boyle there. She absolutely ropes that ball, and it is 50 different types of gone and out of the park.
What a game. What a 2 days here in Tampa. As Anna Marie Bruni at the plate takes a strike, 0-1 the count. We talked about what a banner regular season in the American Conference. Came down to the last day to decide the regular season champion, the 4th strongest conference in college softball. And here we are. You wondered, what would the tournament provide? And it has provided drama and excitement as there's a grounder to first. And there's going to be a throw. It's going to have no play there as she couldn't beat out Bruni. And Bruni gets the hit here in the 5th inning. Nobody was covering there, and Ashley Threek was not going to be able to beat out Bruni there to first.
And that's going to be a communication issue. Eric, we talked so much yesterday about how it takes no talent to communicate. It takes no talent to open your mouth and tell your teammate where you're at, and how important it is when that breakdown in communication happens, how often things can go awry.
Jasmine Haynes comes up there, runner at first and 1 out. With Bruni at first. First pitch, runner was going. There's a hit to Parker. Will go to first to get the out. But because Bruni was going on that pitch, the Tigers did not have the option to get the force out at second. They take the sure out at Haynes at first base with 2 outs. But Bruni now is in scoring position as we go back to the top of the order, and the senior, Lauren Evans, will come to the plate.
And Lauren Evans has been tremendous thus far this game. She has been the one to spark the USF offense, specifically in that first inning. Feeding off of that momentum from their win last night against UConn, that 12-inning win.
1-0 the count to Evans.
And we haven't seen a whole lot of offense, right? A whole lot of run production yesterday, and we're seeing a major contrast of that today, Eric. I know we've touched on it briefly, but even more so in this game. Houston dropping to Tulsa 7-3, I believe it was, and then here today we've already had 13 runs up on the board, 19 hits between both teams. I mean, it's been a tremendous example of the offensive prowess of this conference.
And that's a ball, 2-1 the count to Evans. You've got a little bit of everything in this tournament. Tremendous pitching, tremendous defense. I think the league, it's shown why this league is the 4th best conference in college softball with quality from top to bottom. You had the 1 seed, the USF Bulls, surviving with a 12-inning win over the 8 seed UConn Huskies. It tells you the depth of this league. The Bulls team that beat Michigan in the regular season won the regular season title. You have a Memphis team here that beat Ole Miss in the regular season, beat Tulsa twice, has beaten UCF twice, have quality wins. You have a team like UCF who lost yesterday, have wins over Florida, who's the SEC champions. A top 20 team in Long Beach State. They beat them in San Diego. They beat Hofstra, who's one of the Colonial top teams. They're going to be in the NCAA tournament. Is 2-1 the count to Evans, who fouls it off. And Houston beat Baylor, has beaten Texas, and almost top to bottom. Every team has quality wins and has proven it, chipped in on the reason why this league from top to bottom is one of the best conferences in the sport. 2-2 the count to Lauren Evans. As the freshman Mariah Nichols. And Evans lines one to first, foul. And the uniqueness of this tournament and throughout the season is the eye test. Coach Erickson, I've talked to Coach Erickson about this, about the eye test. You know, people focus so much on numbers and RPIs with the NCAA tournament. But if you look at these players play with the eye test in person, you see how good these teams are. And I know Coach Erickson, people believe that's something that the committee sometimes does not do.
No, I think that's a great point that he makes there.
And that's a base hit to right center. Erickson will send Bruni, and Bruni will score, and we're tied at 7. An RBI single by the senior Lauren Evans.
There she is, that catalyst leadoff for this USF squad, doing her job not only in the first inning with some help with run production, starting things off, but coming in clutch here to help tie this ball game up.
Back and forth we go. 7-7. Here in the bottom of the 5th, Lauren Evans, what a tournament she has had for the Bulls. The senior tying it up. Now fellow senior, Aston Donovan to the plate. And she swings and hits it right to Kyler. Trosclair throws to first in time to end the inning. But the South Florida Bulls, the defending regular season champions, respond with 2 runs. And at the end of 5, we're tied at 7 here in the American Digital Network.
There are other people just like you. Driven, determined. Those who use passion to spark creation. Others who are ready to unite and discover together. It all starts with you. Continues with us. The University of South Florida.
Power comes in all forms. Power is a big tackle,
a big save,
a clutch hit,
and a game-winning shot.
Power is also standing up for what is right.
Power is respecting an opponent, officials, student athletes, coaches, and team representatives.
Power is not tolerating racial or ethnic comments,
profanities, or other improper actions
while at the game. Be American.
Power.
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 Power for life.
The American Softball Championships here in Tampa, semifinal day. Tulsa advanced to the championship game for the 4th consecutive season earlier today with a 7-3 win against Houston. Who will they play? We don't know. It's 7-7 as we head to the top of the sixth. JoJo McGill, who's the fourth Bulls pitcher in this game, starting another inning in relief. And he'll face Kyler Trosclair, the top of the order for the Tigers, and the count is 0-1. Trosclair, Delaney Smith, and Bailey Smith. 1, 2, 3 for the Tigers here in the sixth.
And we've seen throughout this tournament teams being able to come up in their third at bat.
The ball is bobbled by McGill, will throw to first, and they get her out. Oh, a juggling act by JoJo McGill to retire Kyler Trosclair for the first time today. She made that very dramatic here. Watch this.
Just not able to get a hold of that ball, but she's able to get the job done eventually. Felt like we were all holding our breath waiting to see if she would make that play.
Unbelievable. Delaney Smith swings the first pitch, grounds to second. Devitt's there, will throw to first in time. And a nice job by Evans. We've talked a lot about her offense, but she's big target at first, and she's reaching, has a good range there, good length. Helps the defensive players there getting these fast slap hitters from the Tigers.
And it does make a difference, and she has great timing, right? She doesn't overstretch, and she doesn't stretch too early, which can sometimes be a factor in when in the event there's any sort of off-putting throw, or maybe there's a ball in the dirt. The fact that she has such great timing when she puts her foot back on the bag makes a big difference in how good of a first baseman she is.
Bailey Smith at the plate takes a strike and is down in the count 0-2.
Okay, McGill. I see you working with this 7-pitch inning so far.
The 0-2 by McGill is low and outside ball. 1-2 the count. Here in the top of the sixth inning, a 7-7 game. Memphis jumped out to a 2-0 lead in the top of the first. USF scored 4 in the first. As that pitch is high, 2-2 the count. Memphis responded with 4 runs in the fourth inning to take a 6-4 lead. USF added a run in the bottom of the fourth to pull within 6-5. Memphis added a run in the fifth, 7-5, and USF tied it up in the bottom of the fifth with 2 runs. The 2-2, that's hit to first foul. Of course, Cook with a 3-run homer for the Bulls in that first inning, highlighted that 4-run inning. Cassidy Boyle with a home run recently for the Bulls. The 2-2 is inside, 3-2 to Bailey Smith. McGill on the payoff pitch. And Smith grounds it to first. There's Evans with the scoop in the backhand and touches the bag to end the inning. A 1-2-3 inning as we head to the bottom of the sixth, still tied at 7 on the American Digital Network.
Power comes in all forms.
Power is a big tackle.
A big save.
A clutch hit.
And a game-winning shot.
Power is also standing up for what is right.
Power is respecting an opponent, officials, student athletes, coaches, and team representatives.
Power is not tolerating racial or ethnic comments.
Profanities or other improper actions.
While at the game.
Be American.
Power.
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 Power for life.
7,000 student athletes rising to become champions in 21 different sports at 13 esteemed institutions across 11 states. 360,000 students and 2.6 million alumni rise up in celebration of a Power 6 conference known as the American.
Bottom of the sixth, you see getting close to the twilight here. There's the Sun Dome where the USF basketball teams, the men and women's team, as well as the volleyball team plays. You have the softball stadium here. What a classic. First baseball stadium right next door. It's this great complex where they combine the softball stadium and the baseball stadiums next door. You take a few steps and you'll see be at the baseball stadium. Lindsey Devitt swings and misses, and the count is 0-1. Eric Lopez alongside Sydney Gerback and Haley Outen. Here in the bottom of the sixth, our second semifinal game, 6th game in the 2 days we've had here on the American Digital Network, as Devitt drops one into right field foul. And the count is 0-2. And we've had beautiful weather here in Tampa all week long. Not much you could ask for if you were a player.
Oh, absolutely, and that was really close foul ball there, just on the right side of the line, outside of where it needs to be. Great choice there by Devitt. As long as she continues to choose pitches that are in that spot, puts herself in a great position.
The 0-2 is fouled off. 7-7 here in the bottom of the sixth. The winner to take on Tulsa tomorrow, noon Eastern, championship game. And it's amazing, this tournament. Cindy, you participated in the first two in 2014 in Houston, and your last one the 2015 in Orlando. It is amazing how this tournament every year just seems to get better and better.
Oh, no doubt.
As Devitt again fouls it off to the right side. Oh, and a collision there as Maxwell went up against the fence there and shakes it off.
So she's okay, but has a little bit of a hard hit there against her chest.
She was determined to get that ball one way or the other. If she had to go through that fence, she was going to do it.
And I think, Eric, you make a great point when you talk about the evolution of this American Athletic Conference tournament. And she goes up and she knows that she has to stop herself, relies on that being a little bit cushier than it might have been.
A comebacker and the throw to first in time as Nichols fielded her own position to get Devitt for the first out here in the bottom of the sixth. I'll tell you, Mike Norville, the football coach in Memphis, he might be real proud of there. Maxwell there took that fence really good.
Yeah, she did.
It's kind of like a football player with the pads in practice.
Braces herself a little bit.
Brooke Hartman now to the plate. And takes the ball. You saw there Maxwell briefly. Her jersey's dirty. You know you've played a good game, solid game, right? When that jersey's all dirty, leaving it all on the field. A ball and no strikes to Hartman, the sophomore. And that's a strike and count is even at 1-1. You've been impressed with the young freshman here, Nichols. Could be the future ace here for the Tigers. Molly Smith graduates, and Nichols gotten a lot of experience this year. Could be her team next season.
And she's doing a good job moving the ball laterally, and then she wields that rise ball well too.
Hartman, as Maxwell charging in, sliding, and makes the catch. What a play, and what an inning so far for Maxwell, the senior, leaving it out on the field.
And that's a ball that's in that triangle between center, right field, and second, and a lot of communication has to go on there in order for that play to look like it does. Another great play there from Maxwell, leaving it all out on the field. Look at her uniform.
I told you. Well earned. Macy Cook at the plate. Swings at the first pitch. Pops it up. Guess who? It's Maxwell. A much more routine play for Maxwell. Let's call it the Maxwell inning. We're through 6 here in Tampa. All tied at 7 on ADN.
Welcome into the ADN studio. Hope your week is off to a great start. Thanks for tuning in to an all-new episode of The Rise.
And Mike Hughes, the kicker to beat. Do you believe it?
Kareem Bruton Jr. for the win. Yes!
The American Conference Championship. Bernie scores.
The next biggest game is our biggest game, and we've been doing that all year.
A game like this, you got to want to win the game. We get to the point to where, okay, we're all scratching the itch, waiting for college football to start.
How impressive is it that both of these programs have been here the last 4 years?
This ball is launched out and beyond left field. Bohm gets around on this one, up the line, that's fair.
I couldn't be prouder. I mean, this conference has just performed beyond anyone's expectations.
Seven is the popular number right now. 7-7 as we head to the top of the 7th here in the American Conference semifinals. Winner of this game advancing to the championship game tomorrow. If USF wins, it'll be the second time the Bulls would have reached the American Conference championship game. They reached there in 2016, the same year that the Bulls won the regular season title. They ended up losing to Tulsa in the championship game. For the Tigers, if they win this game, it'll be the first time they've reached the conference championship in program history.
And Memphis in this game, knowing that they want to go to that championship game, that will make a difference whether or not they go to a regional as well, too. Same thing with Tulsa. Those are going to be the two bubble teams here that they need that championship in order to advance in postseason. It doesn't hurt to have a ring on your finger.
Ashley Threet hits it to center, and Donovan makes the catch for the first out of the inning. Brooke Lee will come to play. Well, the ring is the big part. First of all, everybody wants a ring.
Oh,
right?
yeah, everybody wants a ring.
Jewelry is always very popular. But you have that, but you're right. Look, and that's also the best way. You win the tournament, you don't have to worry about what the committee's thinking. You don't know what they're going to do. I think both Memphis and Tulsa have arguments regardless to make the tournament.
Oh, absolutely.
But certainly both came in knowing with their RPIs being as high as it is that more than likely they're going to have to win the tournament as their best shot. As a foul ball. And, of course, you got a team like UCF in a similar boat. I think Wichita State in particular feels very good. They have a tremendous resume. They should be in the field, even though they lost in the opening round, but they're going to have a long week. USF winning the regular season title should be in. And I think Houston should be in with their resume, but you just never know.
Well, in RPI-wise, Wichita State is 32, Houston's 35, and USF is 42. So, to your point, Eric, absolutely. Ideally, you'd like to see those three teams in the tournament, and then another team, either Memphis, USF, or Tulsa, from the conference championship outcome, get in the tournament as well. Obviously, ideally, we would want 4 teams there.
Well, let's go for 5. I mean,
get as many teams as we can in the American. Showcase the strength of the conference.
As we have talked about, again, if you got the eye test, I think you could argue that there's been 5 to 6 teams in this field today, this week and the whole year that you've seen that are worthy of a field of 64 as Lee fouls it off. And, again, 4th strongest conference and eye test. And I think that's my last rant about that. But trust me, I can get more about it, but we'll just keep it in the game. A 7-7 game. Eye test matters, man. It's on the field. You got to produce on the field. And all these teams have done it. And it's capped off here with a tremendous game here. 7-7 in the 7th. 2-2 the count to Brooke Lee is McGill. And that's a slow grounder to short. It's going to be a tough play for Boyle. He'll get past her. One out single for the senior Brooke Lee. And you mentioned it, Sydney, talking about the Tigers trying to get to that elusive title game. And a senior Brooke Lee with a big hit.
And that's what it's going to take from that senior class, too, right? Hey, our back's up against the wall here. They've now evened it up. It's now, again, an 0-0 ball game here in the final hour. What can we do with 1 out on the board to make this happen and push that run across the plate?
Addison Maxwell, the senior now at the plate. And a strike. The senior class that has helped build the identity of Memphis softball, having one of the most successful seasons in program history, the best season under Natalie Pools in her 7th season as head coach. 37 wins, and here in the semifinals in a 7-7 game in the 7th. And that's a high chopper. McGill will throw to first in time to get Maxwell. What a play, and a strong play by McGill, and that's where her arm really benefited there, because that's a high chopper, but she has such a strong arm that it helped her to get Maxwell for the 2nd out of the inning. And so now, Reagan Hadley, the junior, will come to the plate with Brooke Lee at second base in scoring position, at least for the moment, as Coach Lott, the assistant coach for the Tigers, comes out, and looks like they might make a move here. Yeah, there's going to be a pinch runner. And so Brooke Lee will be pinch run for here in a moment once they make the move. It looks like Jesse Lamb, the junior, will be the pinch runner. Yep, Jesse Lamb will pinch run here for Brooke Lee. Again, so there's their re-entry rule in softball, so Lee will re-enter in the bottom half of the 7th. But Jesse Lamb will be at second base with 2 outs, and Reagan Hadley at the plate. And they're going to intentionally walk Hadley. So Coach Erickson decides, I don't want to deal with the junior Reagan Hadley, who's had a good game. And a 283 hitter coming into today. He's going to walk her. Rather deal with the freshman Kendall Lee, who's on deck.
Well, I think there's a couple things at play here, Eric. I mean, catchers generally have I would say generally have a better eye because they see the most pitches, they see the most movement. So I think their eye they have an advantage in the way that they discern pitches. What I will say is that Kendall Lee has an opportunity as a freshman here to step up and say, hey, all right, they walked her to get to me. It's now my time.
Kendall Lee is 1 for 3 tonight as an RBI single in this game. And she will hit with 2 on, 2 outs here in the top of the 7th. The first pitch by McGill, and it's jammed to third. Hartman is there, will throw to first in time, and Erickson's move pays off. The Tigers strand 2. We head to the bottom of the 7th, all tied at 7 on ADN.
Power comes in all forms.
Power is a big tackle.
A big save.
A clutch hit.
And a game-winning shot.
Power is also standing up for what is right.
Power is respecting an opponent, officials, student athletes, coaches, and team representatives.
Power is not tolerating racial or ethnic comments.
Profanities or other improper actions.
While at the game.
Be American.
Power.
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 Power for life.
7,000 student athletes rising to become champions in 21 different sports at 13 esteemed institutions across 11 states. 360,000 students and 2.6 million alumni rise up in celebration of a Power 6 conference known as the American.
Bottom of the 7th, all tied at 7. A trip to the American Conference Championship game on the line here, noon Eastern tomorrow. Take on Tulsa. If you're wondering, Memphis took 2 out of 3 from Tulsa at home in the regular season. USF took 2 out of 3 from Tulsa in Tulsa, and you were there for one of those games. You called that game with our good friend Lincoln Rose on the American Digital Network, but that was a intense game as well. John Barfield is here, by the way. He's actually to our right, scouting this game, wondering who am I going to face tomorrow. Amber Atkinson to lead it off. Swings the first pitch, grounds it to second. Lee, throw to first, and the out is called. Ashley Threet held on there, and the umpire thought about it for a couple of seconds. It probably felt like minutes for both of these teams, but it's an out. And 1 pitch, 1 out here in the bottom of the 7th.
Really impressed with the performance that I've seen from Nichols, right? She has not tried to do too much with her pitches. Comes in to this game. Molly Smith doesn't have her stuff today. She's able to pick her up, pick up her senior teammate as a freshman and getting some postseason innings. And she's really stepped up today. I'm really impressed with her performance.
Cassidy Boyle at the plate takes a strike. She hit a home run to left against Nichols in her last at-bat. So the senior Boyle down in the count 0-1 against the freshman Nichols. And that's outside for a ball. 1-1 the count. There is no action in either team's bullpen. Nichols has been in relief since the bottom of the 1st. The ace Molly Smith, the all-time winningest pitcher in Tigers softball history, only lasted at a third of an inning, giving up 4 runs. The 1-1 is in the dirt. Ball 2. The Bulls have gone committee. Cheyenne Egan started, got pulled in the 2nd inning. Hannah Parker has come in relief. You've had other pitchers in this game, including JoJo McGill. Prior to that, Nicole Doyle. The 2-1. And Boyle up the middle, base hit to the right side of center. And Boyle with a hit here, and the game-winning run is on base at first base with 1 out here in the bottom of the 7th.
I love the emotion that Boyle's playing with right now. And, watching her hit to both sides of the field just goes to show how important she is for this Bulls offense and how well she's produced all tournament long. Had that home run over the left field fence, able to hit it up the middle on the right side. So she is seeing the ball well. John Barfeld actually talked about how well Hollingsworth was seeing the ball. Sometimes during the season, that's what you're getting, and Boyle is also in that boat too.
Coach Erickson's coming out. He's going to go with a pinch runner here. Looks like Kendall Williams is going to come in to pinch run for Boyle at first base, but he wants to talk to Williams first and Bruni, who's the scheduled hitter. Now, that could mean a lot of things. That could be talking strategy. Could they be talking sack bunt? Could they be talking straight steal? Or that's just try to play some mind games on the Memphis side to try to get them to think about what are they talking about, right? I mean, there's a lot of things in play here. So the sophomore Bruni will hit here with a runner at first and 1 out. Williams, a freshman at first base. Bruni squares the bunt, does bunt, bunt's foul. So the count 0-1. Bruni 1 for 3 today. Bunted on that first pitch. We'll see how they decide to do it here against the freshman Nichols. He's squaring the bunt and tries the bunt, and it's a ball. 1-1 in the count. So 1-1 the count to Bruni here in the bottom of the 7th in a 7-7 game. Again, showing bunt. And gets the bunt down. Hadley will throw to first in time. Bruni's out. But she gets the job done as she advances the pinch runner, Kendall Williams, to second base with 2 outs. So the game-winning run is now in scoring position at second base. And Coach Erickson is going to go to the bench here to pinch hitter. And Samantha Worrell, who didn't start today, is going to get the call here with the runner at second. So that explains, I think, Coach Erickson's thinking. He just wanted to get that runner in scoring position because in the back of his mind, he felt he was going to call Sam Worrell's number. He's third on the team in hitting 291 on the season, 5 home runs, and 27 RBIs on the season for Sam Worrell.
And I mean, we have Sam Worrell right there, and I mean, even if she gets a hit and it creates a first and third situation, then you have the top of your lineup. Lauren Evans obviously seeing the ball really well, just like Boyle, and I think this is best of both worlds here for USF.
First pitch to Worrell. And Samantha Worrell, the junior, takes ball 1. 1-0 the count. Time call, looks nope. Hadley thought about it, but he's ready to go. 1-0 the count to Worrell. Worrell fouls it back, and the count is even at 1-1. Worrell's been a regular starter. Has started 44 games this year. He gets called here in a big spot. Trying to send the Bulls to the championship game tomorrow. The 1-1. She drops a base hit into right field. Erickson's going to send Williams. The throw home is not in time. And the USF Bulls will be playing for the championship tomorrow afternoon as they walk off the Tigers and beat them 8-7 on the walk-off RBI by Samantha Worrell. It will be USF and Tulsa in the championship game tomorrow at noon Eastern. It's a rematch of the 2016 title game. And Sam Worrell's number gets called and delivers with the walk-off RBI single to right. And a clutch hit for Worrell.
And just a great choice there by Worrell. She knows exactly what she's looking for, knows what she needs to do in this situation, executes perfectly. Again, Eric, we said execution was going to be the name of the game, especially in day 2 of this tournament. And she is able to get the job done. You know, my heart breaks for Memphis. Obviously, this has been an incredible team. What an incredible season. Can't talk about this game without tipping your hat to what this Memphis program, has created thus far in this 2018 season. But again, tip your hat to the USF Bulls. They are absolutely deserving, and they just happen to pull it out in the final hour.
Amazing finish into this game. We'll be back to wrap it up with some post-game interviews and our final thoughts as the USF Bulls advance to the American Conference Championship game with an 8-7 win over the Memphis Tigers. You're watching the American Softball Championships on ADN.
Welcome into the ADN studio. Hope your week is off to a great start. Thanks for tuning in to an all-new episode of The Rise.
And Mike Hughes, the kicker to beat. Do you believe it?
Kareem Bruton Jr. for the win. Yes!
The American Conference Championship. Bernie scores.
The next biggest game is our biggest game, and we've been doing that all year.
A game like this, you got to want to win the game. We get to the point to where, okay, we're all scratching the itch, waiting for college football to start.
How impressive is it that both of these programs have been here the last 4 years?
This ball is launched out and beyond left field. Bohm gets around on this one, up the line, that's fair.
I couldn't be prouder. I mean, this conference has just performed beyond anyone's expectations.
Welcome back. Final score. The Bulls winning in dramatic fashion, 8-7 on a walk-off RBI single by Sam Worrell. The Bulls are in their championship game tomorrow at noon, and a happy Ken Erickson is with our Haley Alton.
I'm now joined by USF head coach Ken Erickson. Coach, your team's keeping it exciting here in the conference tournament. A win after 12 innings last night, and then today a walk-off win in the 7th. What is it about your team that allows them to step up in these clutch situations?
I think they know that their coaching staff loves them no matter what. No, seriously, I mean, that has a lot to do with there's no pressure type of deal. They just go out there and play, and it's all we've asked them to do. And so they're just a bunch of idiots. I mean, they really are. They just go out and have fun. And they're like the most crazy group I've ever had. You know, they don't take things seriously. And, you know, if you do that and you stay lighthearted, you have an opportunity to play deep into a ball game.
You called on Sam Worrell to pinch hit here in the 7th. Why was she the right person to put in that situation?
She's been working so hard on trying to shorten up. You know, she is actually a recruited power hitter, but she's learned that, you know, big swings don't matter. And so pregame today, we talked about just shortening up, just trying to get the barrel to the ball in a crucial situation. You're going to get more opportunities to drive in runs with 2 outs, runner at second than you are to hit a home run. And so, you know, she's buying into what's going on. We have a lot of home runs this year, but they're mistakes. We just barreled them up, and they happened to carry 215, you know, but a lot of singles, relentless singles. Lauren Evans does a great job today. Our bullpen, unbelievable. You know, to not have to throw your big ace on a day like today says a lot about your bullpen, and Coach Moore has done a great job with them.
Your team won the marathon of the regular season title and a chance to win the sprint here in the conference tournament in tomorrow's final. How would that propel this team into the postseason to be able to put a cap heading into the NCAAs?
It's one day, you know this, you played, right? You don't get ahead of yourself, and so you're just trying to get to that position of it's one game at a time, just give us one inning, those type of things. Sunday you're off, Monday you're off, you know, whatever the story is, but I don't have a magic bullet, and I don't think there is one for good teams. They just try to stay together and play and get good pitching, defense, and timely hitting, and that's what today was about.
You mentioned living in the moment and just taking that next step one game at a time. Last night, your goal was to get your team dinner after the game before worrying about this Memphis game. How do you get this team ready for tomorrow? What's next?
I don't think you have to. You know, I think that they just propelled themselves with, wow, we can do this type of stuff. Wow, we can come off a great weekend against Wichita State, which was very intense and very emotional. Last night, a 12-inning ball game. What's left in the tank today? You're down 2 in the first inning. We weathered the storm, came out, knocked someone on the board. You know, we had response innings. That says a lot about them. And, you know, good senior leadership there. Evans, Donovan, you know, Boyle today, McGill on the mound, Parker last night. You know, it's about time, right? 58 games of the season, that's what you're hoping, and it happened, so it's all good stuff.
Good luck in tomorrow's final.
Thanks a lot. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Haley, and congrats to Coach Erickson. And the Bulls are in the championship game. As you look at the bracket, we started yesterday at 10 a.m., hard to believe. It has been an amazing tournament. Tulsa getting to the championship, beating Wichita State, their rivals, beating Houston in the semis. And it'll be Tulsa and USF in the championship game tomorrow at noon Eastern. Tulsa trying to win their 3rd consecutive conference tournament and get into the NCAA tournament bid. USF looking to join Tulsa at 2017 and UCF 2015 to win the double dip. For our great crew at the ADN, all hard work throughout the 2 days, for Haley Alton and for Cindy Gerbach, I'm Eric Lopez. We hope you've enjoyed our coverage of the American Softball Championships from Tampa, Florida, here on the American Digital Network. Good night from Tampa.